Fix for you or your loved one. Rated in the best hearing aids of 2024 by USA Today, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices. Just $189.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 500,000 happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Police Sergeant Christopher David Fitzgerald of the Temple University Police Department sustained fatal gunshot wounds while attempting to arrest a robbery suspect. The Tunnel to Towers Foundation provided a mortgage-free home to his wife and their 5 children in honor of their forever hero. Christopher was a great father, husband, brother, and son who is so very missed. Heroes like Christopher protect and serve our communities and our nation. Show your support. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. That's T2T.org.
The Morning Xtra, only on Xtra 106.3.
Morning, y'all. It is the new Friday. Buddy, you okay? You sound like Gollum.
No, I'm just letting you do your thing, and I'm just kind of following up right behind it.
Okay.
You know, kind of like I'm singing back up.
But it was in a very mocking fashion. I've never heard.
No, I wasn't trying to mock. I was trying to support.
I've never heard CeCe DeVille back up Bret Michaels and Poison going, because that would change the dynamic of,
I felt a lot
look
more.
what the cat dragged in or something.
I felt a lot more Ricky Rocket on that one.
Okay.
Just singing a little bit different tenure.
Okay.
Just, trying to make sure that, Tug is doing his thing, setting up the show on a Thursday, the new Friday.
The new Friday. God, I love Thursday.
It's such a wonderful day.
It's my favorite. I like most days, but Thursday is my absolute favorite. I love Thursdays. It makes me smile.
I'm trying to look at all days as fun because when you got into the whole Tuesdays, the armpit.
Yeah, you talked me out of it.
I just said, it was like, it's a matter of perspective.
That's right.
But you don't really need to change your perspective when you get to Thursday.
No, it's
Thursday's good.
Yes, absolutely. No, that's right. You taught me well, and I have embraced that. And that's the thing. Can you take what you see, and you see something that's better, and you say, "Yep, that's right. I'm going to embrace it." I feel like that should be relatively easy to do, but I guess for most people, it's not.
The human mind can be manipulated. But it can be manipulated for good.
Yes, that's what. Yes,
convince yourself that every day and everything is a great opportunity, and you will wake up in the morning and say, it's another day, another opportunity. That's the whole Trae Young deal. It's like, hey, another day, another opportunity.
Right. I love it. Dude, I love that perspective. I love positivity. I love glass half full. That's who I am as a person. So when you presented that to me, bam, done. I love Tuesday. I love Thursday, too.
Thursday a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, right.
Thursday's really good.
I mean, Friday, obviously the best day of the week, but Thursday's the new Friday because you're so close. You can see the weekend. It's glorious. And you know what else makes me smile? I look up at the monitor in the studio, and MSNBC is on. That's not what makes me smile, but the fact that I see Morning Joe Scarborough, and this panel of people that he has, and they're just melting down like a Beijing Barbie that's been thrown into a barbecue pit.
It's a wonderful time.
It's a good time to be alive.
We don't get this very often.
Or ever.
Anyone who does this work, like I was listening to a little bit of Clay Travis and Buck Sexton yesterday, and Clay Travison's up jumping on a plane to head to New Orleans, so it's just Buck Sexton. And I think it was into like the 2:00 hour. And he points out, he has wanted this sort of stuff since he got interested in politics when he was in college, where he has an administration that is ultra accountable to the taxpayer.
Yes.
And he's like, that's 20-some years ago. And it took this long for me to finally get all the things I want to get. And that's where we're at. So we had to wait this long. And some people have waited much longer than this.
Yes, they have. Absolutely. Today would be my late father's birthday, and God, I miss him every day, and I think about him every day. And he would be, if he were sitting here with us today, he would be like, holy cow, I cannot believe that the government is being held to account. He was always like, he was a Reagan Republican. He loved history. He loved keeping up with politics. Not well educated, but a very wise man. And he always said that the problem I have, he was like, if you tell me we need to spend money on whatever it is, tell me what it is, and I'm going to listen. Help me understand why we need to spend whatever on, whatever money that you're talking about. He was like, they can never do it. And then you find out later it was, well, they told you that and then they spent it on this. He was like, they never tell you the truth. And that is exactly why there's 7 panelists this morning on Morning Joe they're in complete meltdown because all of a sudden they have to be held to account, and they've not had to do that before. It's like a spoiled child.
I love that we flip back and forth between Fox News and then we say, oh, well, what else are they saying over there? So let's go to MSNBC.
Dude, we're the only ratings they get.
And they're in a panic over the idea that government is suddenly accountable. We talked to start the week that this is, week 3 of the Trump administration. We're not even a full 3 weeks in. And I have seen more accountability and more explanation. Whenever you would read those stories about we are funding the study of cow farts, we would all get a big laugh out of, okay, seriously, this is what we're doing? And we would just continue it.
But mainly because we knew there was nothing we could do about it.
Yeah.
And now there is.
And to see the left melt down, and I definitely enjoyed it last night as I was watching the Spurs and the Hawks. And I had the normal, regular people that were, look what they're doing, and this is going to be a crime on the Trump side, and look what Elon is doing. And I calmly explained the legality of all the things that are going on. And by the time I was finished, none of them had anything to say.
It's amazing how that works. It's amazing how quickly they just stop talking because they're like,
stopped.
Damn it.
Because what happens is they exist in an echo chamber and they all tell each other, like, we need to impeach this guy, and here's the problem, and here's what's going on. And when I explain the legality of it, now I'll get into it next hour. Once I explain the legality, and here is what was established, thank you, Barack Obama and Obamacare. You have enabled, within 1 decade, to have your entire party be smashed using your own legislation against you, you sorry-ass dude.
Hallelujah.
And you're sitting back like, how's that? I'll explain it later. But that is how there are geniuses around Donald Trump.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. He has planned this for so long. He's put the right people in place to do the will of the American people. And I love it, and we'll play it in a little bit, Jasmine Crockett, who just is melting. This the funniest thing in the world because she's hollering, I know who I work for. And I'm like, yes, you do.
Do you?
You work for you. You work for the Democrats. You do not work for the American people. But that's another, we'll get to that toward the end of the hour. But that's the thing. We're seeing all of the things that we thought were happening, that we knew in our souls were happening. And now it's being laid out. The cards are all being laid out on the table so you, as an American taxpayer, can look at the ugliness, the filth, the waste, fraud, and abuse of your federal government with your money.
What I find to be delicious is that Donald Trump was the target. Donald Trump's been the target for the better part of 8 or 9 years. And it hasn't worked. It hasn't gone well. As you said yesterday, you called him Hitler. You've now moved on to Saddam Hussein. You've tried everything. So what is the left's new tactic? Well, none of it works. Let's go after Elon Musk.
That's right. Let's go.
All right, so when are we going to keep working all the way down? Because if you wanted to be very forward-thinking, go after J.D. Vance. This is a very short amount of time before he's running
next
in 23 months.
And is going to be a bigger nightmare for you than anything Donald Trump is doing right now.
He's far more conservative.
Dude.
Like if you're worried about Donald Trump and his agenda, J.D. Vance is after my own heart. He has Tug and I going, ooh, that's nice.
Dude. Yeah.
And again, I'm enjoying this so far, but just understand, J.D. Vance is a bigger nightmare for them than anything Donald Trump is doing. All Donald Trump is doing is basically telling you, Here's where your tax money's going, and we're going to stop it.
Yeah, that's all. And these people are, and they're, well, Elon Trump's not elected. Right. He's just an advisor. You know who else wasn't elected? Dr. Fauci. Look at all the damage he did. Look at everything that man did as an appointee.
From a legal standpoint, because of Obamacare, Elon Musk gets to head up a group that has the legality of being basically in place on a temporary situation. I think it's 531 USC. I was going through it last night.
Is that U.S. code, I'm sure? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And basically, the president has the right, in the interest of government inefficiency, to assign a group, have them head it up, and try and deal with government inefficiency. And again, all legal, all created under Obamacare. And so Elon Musk is sitting back going, hey, I get 3 years to do this. From a legal perspective, if you want to change it, go to Congress. All right, you can't change it any other way.
There's consultant groups that the federal government hire all the time to go through the Pentagon, to go through everything the federal government does, anything they spend money on. And they are there to, okay, see, what are we spending money on? Could we do that at a lower price? Are we able to point out fraud, waste, and abuse? Are we able to point out the inefficiency? So the government has paid for this for years and years and years. The difference, well, there's a couple differences, actually, those. Elon Musk is not being paid. We paid the consultants over the years to do this. And the consultants that the federal government have paid over the years suck at what they do because they weren't able to root out any of this. And maybe that was by design. I don't know. But they were terrible, and they got paid a mint. In with like the Pentagon, when they were doing things in the Pentagon, looking for inefficiencies, looking for waste, fraud, and abuse in the Pentagon, they had top secret clearances. So they had to give clearances because they were using and touching special. They didn't even have to do this for Elon Musk because he's not going through anything that's top secret. He's physically looking for waste, fraud, and abuse, and that's it. He is not being paid and is getting the job done.
This is how much anger there is on the left. You have people that are tweeting out parts of his team in the interest of trying to kill them. Think about that. You have people that are doxing parts of his team, and you hear from these politicians, he brought in a bunch of 19-year-olds. They can't even rent cars.
I'm glad you brought that up.
But they're so good at finding this information. It's not hacking. Again, legally, under Obamacare, they're allowed to look into government inefficiency. The plan was, because the Democrats with their forward vision never recognized that a different administration would be able to use their own law against them to say, where are we spending money and where is this not being realized? And the fact that you have Elon Musk using a bunch of young people on his team that have no problem with data mining, that's what they're doing. That's why you have the left going off against them.
2 points about that is the fact that the left doesn't see the things that they do coming back to bite them, just like if they were able to blow up the filibuster, because they're using that right now in one of the nominations for OMB. They're using that filibuster right now, but they wanted to get rid of it 6 months ago. Same way with packing the court. They wanted to pack the court. All of a sudden, they're way out of power. Not a mention of packing the court. So there's that they don't have that forward vision. And then secondly, you brought up the youngsters. I'm so glad you brought this up. Those young people fresh out of college. I think it was the New York Times yesterday, and somebody was writing there blasting how these kids are just out of college. They don't know nothing. And I couldn't help but think, when I was 19 years old, I was on a USS South Carolina CGN-37 nuclear-powered guided missile cruiser. And the equipment I was using on behalf of the United States of America was world class, still is. I'm not in the Navy anymore, but those same 19-year-olds are operating with secret and top secret clearances. They're handling munitions. They're plotting the maneuvering of a billion-dollar ship, and they're 19 years old. I don't hear anybody yelling and screaming about the 19-year-olds that are running off and using this world-class weaponry to defend the nation. These 19-year-olds, they don't even have anything that can blow up. They're just saying, hey, I'm using AI. Here's where your fraud, waste, and abuse is.
Let me tell you how insane the left is going. They're trying to act like there's some sort of hacking. In fact, that their entire push yesterday was, the Treasury is being hacked.
Right.
Sorry, under Obamacare, they have the ability to look into government inefficiency. That was the law. How it was created. And Donald Trump, very simply, with the geniuses around him, beat them to the punch. They created their own issue.
I love it.
And so when you explain this,
blame Presbo,
the leftist nutters, okay, and I got one. I had like 4 on Twitter. There's only one that came back, and it always goes back to the same thing. Once they're beaten, they're like, you're so emotionally invested in Trump that you'll find any reason to defend him. I'm not defending him. I'm telling you what the law is. That's all. I am pointing out that he beat your ass using the law. It's not even him. He's surrounded by people that are smarter than you and me, and he kicked your ass using your own law. That's all. I didn't do anything.
I just pointed it out, which is funny because that's what the 19-year-olds are doing, just pointing it out.
And I'm not, when you're like, well, you're so emotionally invested. I don't care. I only care about beating your ass. I'm emotionally invested in protecting America.
Yes. Thank you. That's exactly right. That's early to get fired up like that, buddy.
You lost. I won. Winners don't have to explain themselves. I keep trying to tell you this. And then when I explain myself and I thoroughly drag you on X, then you come back with some emotional BS about, well, you're only doing this. No, I gave you the law.
That's it, man.
What more do you want? What was I wrong about? Nothing.
It's like arguing with a police officer that just clocked you doing 78 in a 55.
You don't understand, officer.
Yeah. You're emotional about this, sir. No, I'm not. The speed limit is 55. You are doing 78. Nothing to talk about here.
Here's your ticket. Well, you fascist.
That's right. God, it's a good Thursday morning already. Morning Xtra, Tug and Los on Extra 106.3. We're on the air until 10. There's like 3 hours and 40 minutes left of this. You're going to fall in love, I promise.
Wait till next hour when I explain all of this.
When we come back, John Kennedy has already told you the next Trump target on Extra 106.3. Hey, it's Tug. The Morning Xtra has you covered from 6 to 10, and Kimmer's got you on the ride home.
By the way, for the record, screw the TikTok. Too bad if your children will hate you the rest of your life. It's a Chinese spy agency. Why should we allow it? Duh. My God. I mean, isn't it that simple, really? Even the Chinese will not allow the TikTok app in China. All right, let me say that again. The Communist Chinese Party will not allow TikTok in China.
Balance the scales here. What's worse? The Chinese military owning and operating that and spying on us by using it.
Yeah,
or demonic American popular culture being sent over to China.
Yeah, oh my God. Well, let's see if I can't decide. I just can't decide.
It's a lose-lose, I think.
The Kimmer Show, every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
Military veterans are eager to transfer their skills and experiences to civilian life, but lack trusted connections to expedite their path to success. The The civilian world can be confusing, and veterans do not need to journey through it alone. When you reach out to the Warrior Alliance, we will guide you to the best-in-class resources that can lead you toward renewed purpose after serving our nation. Find out why thousands of warriors have found success after service after engaging with the Warrior Alliance. For assistance, go to thewarrioralliance.org or call 404-210-1776.
When it comes to protecting your assets and ensuring peace of mind, trust the expertise of Nelson Eldercare Law. Our Absolute Protection Trust is designed to provide unparalleled asset protection. Visit NelsonEldercareLaw.com to discover how our specialized services can safeguard your family's future and assets, offering you the assurance you deserve. NelsonEldercareLaw.com.
Hey, homeowners, it's Flounder, and I'm here to keep you warm. Well, I won't, but my friends at Dobbs Heating and Air will. As a new homeowner myself, I prefer working with local, family-owned companies who value what matters to me and treats my home like it's their own. The Dobbs family have a passion for what they do, and taking care of people is their primary goal. So if your home needs help staying warm right now, call Dobbs Heating and Air and experience the Dobbs difference. And check them out online at dobbshvac.com.
True Prep, Atlanta's leading preparedness store, has two incredible deals going. The Smith & Wesson M&P 15 Sport 3 AR-15 for just $649, featuring a mid-length gas system, 15-inch M-LOK free-float handguard, and 30-round P-Mag. Choose a Smith & Wesson cap or 16-ounce tumbler free with purchase. Plus, get 1,000 rounds of check-made brass case Boxer Prime 223 ammo for only $399.99 or 20-round boxes for just $8.99 each. For directions, visit us online at trueprep.com. That's TRUprep.com. True Prep. Prepare today for a worry-free tomorrow.
Advisory services offered through Master Plan Retirement Consultants, Inc., a registered investment advisory in the state of Georgia. Insurance, tax, and commodity services offered through Fricks & Associates, Inc., DBA Master Plan Retirement Consultants. The aforementioned are affiliated companies.
Retirement means different things to different people. Some folks want to travel the world. Some folks want to spend more time with grandkids. For me, I'm looking forward to spending more time with my guitar. Whether extravagant and robust or simple and cozy, every retirement needs a plan. You wouldn't take a trip without directions. You have to know where you are before you know where you're going. Master Plan Retirement Consultants have helped many like you plan for their own retirement. Not only does Master Plan help you create the roadmap, they join you on the journey. So whether you want to travel the world, become a pickleball champ, or just looking for a good porch, a sturdy rocking chair, and an acoustic guitar, remember to plan well, because the destination is worth it. Visit masterplanretire.com to schedule your complimentary consultation today.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Good morning. These are your headlines for Thursday, February 6th. The White House says it plans to cancel $8 million in subscriptions to Politico after this being discovered with the investigation into USAID. CNN is referring to this as a false right-wing conspiracy theory. When it comes to the airline industry, another little mark on it as well. As a Park Delta plane was hit on the tarmac while waiting to take off. A minor accident did occur between two planes, this coming out of Seattle, Washington. The incident came over at the Seattle-Tacoma International Airport. A spokesman for Delta Airlines ended up telling the local media that a Japanese airline was taxiing on the tarmac when it hit the Delta plane in the wing. A Georgia lawmaker is trying to give the University of Georgia, Georgia Tech, and everyone else a little bit of a competitive advantage, as they would like to make the colleges and universities not have to lose players to other states due to taxes. Alpharetta State Senator Brandon Beach is proposing an exemption to the NIL money from state income tax. With your headlines, this is Carlos Medina.
I want to read you something, and this is encouraging to me, and I think it will be encouraging to you. After 35 years as a Democrat, I've been summoned to the White House for a signing of an executive order to protect women's sports, and I'm thrilled and honored to be there. Worst liberal ever. And that comes from Jennifer Say.
Oh,
I should have let you guess. Sorry, yes.
I was curious because that could have come from Martina Navratilova.
Mm-hmm.
Jennifer Say, if you're just not aware, this was a woman who was an executive with Levi's, who, when she spoke out about some of the COVID issues and what was going on with women competing in men's sports, it was pretty much she was ostracized from that part of polite society in California. And so she decided to start her own sports brand that is geared towards women and supporting women athletes.
Founder and CEO of XX-XY Athletics. She's written a book called Levi's, Unbuttoned and Chalked Up. Fascinating woman. We probably don't agree on a lot.
But we have a common area where we both say we should both be in this fight together.
Certainly have especially you, dude, with 2 daughters. I'd never experienced that, and you maybe y'all haven't either, but it's certainly a possibility, something that could come up and it's worth fighting for.
It's challenging. Like, we have some friends of ours, and they have a son who loves volleyball, and you can play volleyball as a club sport once you're about 10 years old, and now there's enough men's programs that are doing it, but there wasn't a lot even 3 or 4 years ago. So when he had not gone through puberty yet, he played on the girls' teams, and it was totally fair and totally fine. Then he went through puberty, and it was very awkward for his parents to the point where when he was still playing, because he still could before the high school level, he could still play against the girls, they intentionally had him in positions where he couldn't hit at them.
Yeah.
Because he loves the sport, but they're trying to make it fair.
Yeah.
And there were parents that would call it out. Why are we playing against a boy? So understand, there are people that agree with you on this, that recognize this is how it is. But somebody like Jennifer Say, she's like, we got to stop having grown men play against women in our sports, grown men in high school age and beyond.
And to pretend that there's not a difference in boys and girls is ludicrous.
No, 6-year-old, 8-year-old soccer, that's totally different. Fine. Cool.
Nobody's talking about that. Nobody cares about that. But at the high school and NCAA levels, there is a massive difference. And to pretend otherwise, you are being dishonest if you think or you say that there's not a difference. Now, it may be of your political persuasion to do so, but you know better. You know there's a difference. You and I know there's a difference. And until you can be honest, then there's not much to talk about as far as, the differences in the point of view.
Is that a PC generational thing?
I think so. I do.
That we can't acknowledge that there are a difference in the sexes. That women, part of what they have is a much higher pain tolerance than we do in the interest of childbirth. That they have more of a nurturing nature where we have more of a fighting nature.
Right.
And we're built stronger and bigger typically as hunter-gatherers.
You seem
this is simple stuff here.
You seem like you're saying trust the science. That's what I say.
I mean, I'm also not on board with trusting the science so much anymore. But if you can't acknowledge that there's a difference in the sexes, then we don't have a point of conversation. If we can't start right there.
Right.
Is there a difference in how men and women are built?
Yes.
Well, one of the funnier things I still remember.
Look at the skeletons.
It was Riley Gaines, friend of the show, was on the show several months ago. And she was in front of a classroom. And it was brought up by this one professor about how, if you go back 500 years and you dig up a skeleton, you can't tell the difference if it's a man or woman. And they're like, yeah, you can. In fact, it's not hard. In fact, every single person who's an anthropologist can tell you the difference in a male and female of whatever species it is based on the bone structure.
That's exactly right, man. And it's so very clear and it's so obvious. And I don't care what your politics are, you can't pretend that reality isn't a factor, because it is.
Even if they dug up Joe with his feminine features and his sweetness, they would still say, that's a man, damn it.
My wide birthing hips.
That's right. They would say, he was gifted those. Too bad he couldn't reproduce.
That's right. The engine under the hood just... It's not gonna run. It's not gonna work.
My comment left you speechless, Tug.
That's exactly right.
He was struggling to process. He's like, he's got these birthing hips, and yet he can't give birth.
I've never noticed them before. They're beautiful.
They're quite wondrous.
That's right. It knocked my hat off. I couldn't believe
There's majestic elements of this show, and one of them are Joe's hips.
That and that sweet mustache.
That's right. Them hips don't lie ever.
No, they don't.
Not to you or anyone else.
I'm like Shakira and Tom Selleck combined.
That's right. That's amazing. Think of that combo. Like 80s Tom Selleck with like 90s Shakira.
I don't want to think about that. This sounds awful.
Shakira's like...
Too bad you're looking at it.
Shakira's 50,
you can avoid it.
And that woman's still
she's stunning.
Shaking it.
Absolutely stunning.
Good for her.
She does not like taxes, I hear.
Not a fan. Not a whole lot of people are.
I agree with her.
In fact, I got my W-2 a few weeks back, and I just put it in a drawer. I said, I'm going to look at you later.
Yes, stay away from me.
Like treated it like it was some sort of demon.
Yeah,
like just get here.
Like you're going to rub
Be
off
gone,
on you.
demon.
That's right. Out of here. You will never come out of this drawer. John Kennedy from Louisiana. He said it. Now Elon Musk is saying it too. Trump will end the Department of Education. And I know Angela Morabito, who comes onto the show all the time, and man, I'm starting to see her pop up everywhere.
Yeah, Angela's profile is growing and growing. She's not going to have time for us down the road. She's going to look at us like, guys, I got to go do Fox again.
I can't believe that about her just because she's such a saint.
Oh, she'll forget where she came from. You'll see.
No way, Los. I refuse to believe it.
But she also wants that Department of Education.
She does.
Well, she hinted at it. That this is the direction it looks like it's going. Last time we had her on last week.
Yes, and I think that she will fall right in line because she's quick to point out the failures of the education department, and she worked as the spokeswoman for the Department of Education under Betsy DeVos in the first Trump administration. We tried to pin her down to see if there was new positions that might open for her, and she was very vague in her answers that she gave.
And that's fine. That's all we needed. She gave us the wink and the nod of there's things in the works. We'll see what happens.
There could be something. The status quo has failed. We know that. You have to do something different. You think that the USAID thing have got these people worked up, got the left worked up, got teachers' unions worked up, and you just wait. This is going to send the left into a rage that you have never seen before. Not because they care about your students, because they don't have access to put some sort of impression on your students, some sort of way to convince them. Like when kids go to college and they are brainwashed because their teacher has told them, you think it's bad at this college level? Think about the little mind in kindergarten that's being fed nonsense, and ultimately it'll grow into a person that believes nonsense. They don't want to lose that access to teaching your kids about crazy liberal politics.
Well, Randy Weingarten, who runs the teachers union, the largest teachers union in the country, she was spouting off yesterday because she's another one of those people that recognizes that if this thing goes away, the teachers union loses most all of their power because teachers unions are funded out of your local state. It's where the money comes from. It's not like there is some big jar on high in D.C. where we're saying, here, let's throw you all of your money to cover everything that you're going to need this year. Now, yeah, there's some federal funding that shows its way in and there's strings attached. But imagine if you got rid and now we had, let's say 50 different groups. Or in this case, when it comes to counties, you had 1,000 different counties or different municipalities that are deciding their education level and how much they're spending and what they're teaching. That would create the segmentation that would ruin things for Randy Weingarten and the teachers union.
And that's all they care about.
That's all they're concerned about.
And the influence, they want that influence on your child. They do. They won't admit it. They'll say they care about your kid. They don't. It's clear that they don't. By what Randy Weingarten and people like her did during COVID, knowing that kids were just fine, COVID was not going to be a factor for them, and they told you they can't go to school.
They kept them out for 2 years in some places.
That should infuriate every parent. And unfortunately, it doesn't. There's only probably more now than ever before. Now that all the shades have been raised.
Well, it's why I say real wealth is deciding where you want to live, what community you want to be around. And I know that we talk about having a long-term marriage and family. That's wealth as well.
Sure it is.
But I firmly believe that for the county that I lived in and I live in currently, our kids stayed out of school for 2 months. It was April and May. And then by the time we're coming around to the fall, we're going to school. Now, they were going to play the mask game and everything else, and I'm fine with it because they were going to be teaching and they were going to be in front of the teachers again.
It wasn't ideal, but it was better than being home. It was
better than the alternative, which in some counties in this state and in this area where you stayed at home the whole next year and sometimes into the next year. Michigan was amazingly totalitarian in not letting kids go back to school. And that's Gretchen Whitmer. That was she was the queen of that. And so I think when you talk about where you're living and your education system, you have a great influence on that. And if you can have more because the federal government keeps their fingers out of it, I'm all on board.
absolutely right.
If there's no Department of Education,
I'm fine with it.
What, like education numbers are going to go down further?
They can't.
No.
I mean, it would be nearly impossible. And that's what Angela has brought up so many times on our show is that if there was some sort of positivity that you could pull from the Department of Education, then there may be an argument to say, you know what, maybe we should keep it. But there isn't. Failing everywhere. There's not a glimmer of hope. There's nothing. And then, putting it back to the states, then I think it opens it up because it's smaller, it's more community, it's local. You can then influence the people that are in your community to hopefully operate the schools the way that you and your community sees fit, and that's what Los is getting at, because the federal government's hands out of it. Now, I do believe the teachers' unions will survive. Just because
there'll be a regional setup.
Yeah, absolutely. And they will still have power. You will still need to keep your eyes peeled for crazy and chaos.
Well, we have a similar scenario here in Georgia. The teachers' unions do not have any real power in these areas. Whereas you go to the Northeast and the teachers' union is very in control. It's similar to this. And people would find this kind of funny. So I have in front of me an on-off button for my microphone. So, Tug, make sure you keep your microphone on. So this is what it sounds like when I'm talking and it's on. This is what it sounds like when I'm talking when it's off. So that was off and that was on. If we were to broadcast in Chicago, New York, parts of LA, because of the broadcast unions, I'm not allowed to turn my mic on and off.
Which is nuts.
Yeah. Joe's looking at me like I'm crazy.
You didn't know that?
I had no idea.
You are not allowed. In fact, because what will happen is you would be a union employee, Joe, and as part of the union contract, you're in charge of turning these things on and off. If we were to show up to do a broadcast somewhere and say we want to set up our systems and plug in our mics and plug in the power, the union would be the ones that have control and say, you can't. You have to wait for a union employee to come and do this. So there are places where, yes, unions have been necessary. There's places where unions have made things ridiculous. Just think, here's my on button. Here's my off button. That is my off button, and I'm not allowed to do that if I operate in Chicago or different parts of the Northeast.
Can you imagine the damage that unions with that kind of power can do to your child's education?
And that's your child's education. I'm just saying about an on-off button in broadcast. Can you imagine if they're in charge of what you are learning in school more so than right even now?
That influence that they have, they would lose. That's why they're going to fight this tooth and nail. They are going to fight. You're going to hear chants. You're going to hear cheers. You're going to hear people like Chuck Schumer out there doing, rah-rah dances and things. It'll be absurd, and you'll be able to sit back and smile knowing that they're fools and that things are going to improve in your life if the DOE goes away.
I'm hoping that Joe, along with some of our great audience, goes home today and at some point after the show brings up, do you know in certain places you can't turn your microphone on and off or plug in your equipment without a union employee being there to do it?
It will be shocking to the person that he tells it to.
I knew the plugging in equipment and all that and setting it all up. I didn't know it went all the way down to turning it on and off.
There's a very funny piece of audio from WFAN, and it was Mike Francesa from back in the day when he was doing a daily show. And one of the employees turned his mic off, and all he's yelling is, "Turn my mic back on!" Because he's not allowed to do it.
So insane. It goes directly against common sense. And we, in Trump's America, are back to common sense, which is good. I hope you're enjoying it as much as we are. This is the Morning Xtra, Tug and Los until 10. When we come back, Jasmine Crockett says she knows who she works for. I gotta tell you, I disagree. I don't think she does. Next on Xtra.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
After making no moves on the trade deadline, the Atlanta Hawks lost at home to the San Antonio Spurs 125-126. Trae Young had another 30-point game, going for 32 with 12 assists, but with 9 turnovers as well. And Yaka Okongwu also scored a double-double with 30 points and 12 boards. For the Spurs, Wembanyama scored 24 with 12 rebounds. And in his first game for San Antonio, De'Aaron Fox scored 24 and had 13 assists. The Hawks' record moves to 23-28. They play the Milwaukee Bucks next at home on Saturday. For Extra 106.3 Sports, I'm Joe Virgin.
Hey, Atlanta, it's Mark from the Safe House. And now the security riddle of the day. When times get tough, where do you keep your stuff? Answer, in a quality safe from the Safe House, of course. Don't go to a big box store and get a fake safe. That would be as effective as Joe Biden's fake border policy. For over 30 years, the Safe House has been providing the best quality safes on the market. Brands like Browning, Fort Knox, and Champion. And with the largest selection of safes on display in Georgia, we're confident we can help you pick the right safe to fit your needs. So drop by our huge showroom or go to atlantasafehouse.com.
No one plans on going to jail, but at A Second Chance Bail Bonds, we believe everyone deserves a second chance. That's the driving force behind everything we do. If you or a loved one has been arrested across town or across the country, you need help now. A Second Chance Bail Bonds works fast with bondsmen throughout Atlanta to help expedite release within hours. A Second Chance. It's better to know us and not need us than need us and not know us. Call A Second Chance 24/7 at 404-BAIL-OUT. That's 404-BAIL-OUT or online at atlbail.com.
Hey, Georgia neighbors, it's time to expect more from your Medicare Advantage. Discover Sonder Health's custom plans tailored just for Georgians. Saunders offers unique benefits, including special plans for those living with chronic conditions. Some plans even come with grocery or gas benefits to support your overall well-being. Sonder Health makes it easy to get the coverage you need. See for yourself what today's Medicare Advantage can do for you. Visit SonderHealthPlans.com, a healthier state of life. Sonder Health Plans is an HMO and PPO with Medicare contracts. Enrollment in Sonder Health Plans depends on contract renewal.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stopped, opt out. Consult a doctor prior to use.
You look amazing. What have you been doing?
You've heard of Ozempic, Wegovy, and the other GLP-1 medications, right? Well, I found this great company called Zelfie. If you qualify, their providers can prescribe medications like Ozempic and Wegovy and other GLP-1 medications that are 80 to 90% less expensive, all 100% online.
I can get GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% less and do it all online? No doctor's office or pharmacy?
Yes, Zelfie can help provide you with semaglutide or tirzepatide, the active ingredients in Ozempic and other expensive GLP-1s, but for 80 to 90% less.
How do I get started with Zelfie?
Just send them a text.
Text MAJOR to 200-300 to get started today with Zelfie to see if you're eligible. Get the same active ingredients in Wegovy or Ozempic, but for 80 to 90% less and 100% online. Don't wait. Text MAJOR to 200-300 right now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text MAJOR to 200-300. MAJOR to 200-300.
Securing America. Over 8,000 illegal migrants have now been taken into custody since the Trump border crackdown began. Tuesday night, the first flight, including those to be held at Guantanamo Bay, arrived in Cuba. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt.
There were 10 members of the transnational gang Tren de Aragua on this flight.
In Guatemala Wednesday, Secretary of State Marco Rubio spoke about that country's president agreeing to accept flights of deported migrants.
His willingness to accept not just nationals, but those from other nationalities as they seek to ultimately return to their own homelands is also important.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth spoke about the issue in El Paso earlier this week.
Border security is national security.
Hegseth was joined by border czar Tom Homan.
Less women and children be sex trafficked. Less non-suspected terrorists going to seek in the country. Less gotaways. Less people on terrorist watch lists. This is about national security.
Kevin Uretsky, Fox News.
Wherever you are in Georgia, you can stream Extra 106.3 and crystal clear digital with the all-new Extra 106.3 app. Get Extra's live on-air stream in real time, or go back and listen to all your favorite shows, Neil Bortz, or original podcasts, no matter where you go. Grab the Extra 106.3 app now and start streaming.
6 o'clock hours brought to you by Subaru of Gwinnett. Me and Board Up Joey Virgin River drive Subarus. I say we. My wife drives one, and Joe drives one.
You get to drive it on occasion when she's
I drive it all the time. No,
very generous with you.
Yeah, like we always travel with it. We always travel in the Ascent, which is just such a comfortable car. It's a great ride. It's all-wheel drive. You just never have an issue. It's
very safe.
Yes, that too.
Yep.
And with my driving, my wife would tell you that probably need that extra safety measure because she occasionally thinks that I'm not the best driver. And I disagree with that assessment. But
and when you pull into your garage, Pat looks across the street, and she's like, I really need to get one of those.
Yes, exactly right.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
Your neighbors are just, man, the cowards. Look what they're doing.
Yeah.
Need one of those.
Yeah, they need that because that husband's no good on the wheel. I've seen him driving on Old Milton Parkway.
They're bound to have an accident. Yeah. I'm glad they're in a Subaru.
That's right. I'm glad they're going to be safe.
One of the safest cars in the world.
No doubt. Jasmine Crockett says she knows who she works for.
Because every day that we show up in D.C., we show up for you. We know who we work for. We know that we work for the American people. And what we're not going to do is stand around while they pull this that they trying to pull right now.
Go ahead. So she knows who she works for.
Thank you, sunny South Dallas, for giving me Jasmine Crockett.
Good Lord. Well, at least it's comic relief. At least it's funny to see the meltdown. But when she says she knows who she works for, I don't believe that's true. I think she has a very warped view of who she works for. She works for her and the Democrat Party and the establishment. That's who she works for. That's why she's so upset about the slush fund going away. There's not an American that's benefiting from the slush fund. How is that helping anybody?
So there's an exit as you get into this one area of Dallas. Let's say if you're on the highway, let's say you're taking 30 East. And 30 East basically connects Fort Worth and Dallas.
Okay. Does Fort Worth have... Sorry.
There you go.
George Strait.
And as you get into sunny South Dallas and you're getting ready to head north into the city, you can pull over. You can be like, you know what? I'm going to stop right over here. I want to be in Jasmine Crockett's area. And if you were to do that and just pull over to the side of the road, head into a local establishment and start explaining, I would like to tell you where your tax dollars are going.
Oh, wow.
It would take about 30 seconds for them to say, are you effing with me?
But they have to be seeing this on television, right? I mean, I know in your example.
I would hope so.
In your example, right, they would be floored if they knew. Well, but now they do know. And that's the thing, Ghost. Are they going to then send her packing? Because it's clear that she does not work for those folks in sunny Dallas. They know. They can't pretend they don't know. Now they do. Will they vote accordingly? And that's a big if. And there's no way to answer that until, we get to 2026.
Well, we're seeing it in a handful of different communities. And it has to get to a level of embarrassing for you to run out certain politicians.
I mean... Are we not approaching that?
Jasmine Crockett is on the precipice of, if you want to continue to stand up for this and try and make it a message of the people and we're going against Elon, the amount of money that is heading out the door to the most frivolous and ridiculous items, that is where you suddenly threaten your own political career. Because somebody just has to say, Jasmine Crockett was in favor of this, and you just label out, she wanted to spend $4 million in Iraq for Sesame Street.
She wanted to buy $8 million worth of Politico Pro subscriptions but get this, for 47 people. They spent $8 million on 47 subscriptions. How much is that?
$23,000 apparently. So I found this to be really awesome. As we started finding out the amount of money that the USAID has been spending on left-wing propaganda, basically reinforcing these networks. It really comes right down to it, Tug. CNN, MSNBC, they're already struggling. Politico couldn't pay their employees once they turned off the money.
The spigot went off, and all of a sudden they had a glitch in their payment system.
Sorry, we couldn't pay you guys yesterday. Well, that's because you're not getting taxpayer money anymore. And I wonder how many of the rest of these left-wing organizations that can't exist on their own in the arena of ideas will not be able to exist moving forward if they're not getting taxpayer money from the likes of Jasmine Crockett and others.
We've been able to complain about PBS.
Oh, and by the way, the amount of times that you would bring up Politico and be like, well, it's because it's Politico. We had taxpayer money being used for propaganda.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, but to that point, we knew about PBS. We knew about NPR, right? And people have been complaining about that for years. It's a left wing. It's an arm of the Democrat Party, and it is. And your taxpayer dollars have been going toward it. And conservatives have had a real problem with that for a really long time. Now that the shades have been raised, and you can see that it's Politico, it is Reuters, it is the AP, it is all of these outlets that have been getting money directly from the Biden administration. Now, some of them have been just in the last 4 years. It's not like it's been going on for, tens or decades or anything.
So you're telling me the Biden administration made sure to reinforce their left-wing ideology and propaganda?
Yes. So that's how filthy it was for them specifically. That's how not transparent they were. Remember when Biden went into office, it was going to be the most transparent. It's going to be the adults are back in the room, and it was anything but that. And now it's laid out on the table. Elon Musk has laid it out on the table so you can see it.
I mean, you're plugged into this sort of stuff, Tug. How much government money are we receiving at this radio station to stay afloat?
Zero.
Thank you.
$0 and 0 cents.
Because it's based on the entertainment, the programming, and the amount of revenue we're able to generate in the ratings that we do. The rest of these organizations on the left are getting essentially government subsidies.
That's right.
We have to keep you afloat. You thought you were only keeping PBS and NPR afloat. What we found out was the rest of them are getting our money in order to make sure they stay solvent.
Jasmine Crockett says she knows who she works for. And that is,
work for the people.
And she works exactly opposite. She's working against the people because the people don't want to pay for this.
No.
There's probably a small minority of people. Maybe, let's say it's 20% of the country that says, yep, I want to subsidize. Well, I don't know. I want to subsidize Politico or the AP or whomever else. The rest of America does not. So then, Jasmine Crockett, I would ask you, when you're out there screaming in front of USAID, who are you working for?
You had the New York Times, according to these documents. Again, it's all public knowledge, and it's been put out there by the administration so that it's laid out so you can see everything. The New York Times didn't always get money from the administration. They didn't get money from the taxpayer. But as soon as the left rolled in, it's $23 million since Biden and Harris got in there. I mean, it was pennies on the dollar before then. Now it's turned into $23 million over this time period. Even the New York Times, the newspaper of record for the entirety of the country, I wonder if they can survive if they don't have government assistance. And when we get rid of it, it's on them to see if they can survive.
And probably the answer is they will struggle. They're already struggling. They're struggling with the subsidy. So can you imagine how they'll struggle without it? But that's the thing, that's craziest to me is the left, the Democrats, the establishment, they're screaming in favor of wasting money. That is what they're defending. I mean, they're usually almost always on the wrong side of an issue. I don't know how you get this one so wrong.
So considering the crazy people that I brought up in this opening hour about them talking about, well, it looks like Elon Musk and Donald Trump, they hacked the Treasury. And I explained how that's not going on, but whatever. There is a certain amount of media that reinforce this crazy way of thinking. All right, it's not the same sort of conspiracy theory as, I don't know, masks don't work. Okay, like we're actually built into real information here. Can you imagine what happens when all of these left-wing organizations that are only surviving from taxpayer money go away? Can you imagine how much more sane the left gets? Or at least less ill-informed? They'll come to me. Listen, you're wandering in the desert. I have water.
Come here. Child, come here.
And we can
quench your thirst.
We can differentiate from each other, but at least you won't have drivel and endless amounts of BS that you believe in. You'll actually come to a reputable station that makes money based on our own ideas and own information, rather than somebody who's being subsidized by the government who can't make money function on their own.
Wow, what a concept.
It sounds like one is quality and one can't exist because of their lack of quality. Weird.
Jasmine Crockett, who do you work for? I work for the people! Clearly don't work for the people, because the people are not in favor of squandering billions and billions of dollars. That's what they voted against. They actually voted for this Trump revolution and this restructuring of government. A little surprised about the love that Trump's getting from a man who's playing in the Super Bowl that Trump will be attending. Next on Extra 106.3.
The Kimmer Show is only live on Extra 106.3 every weekday afternoon on your drive home.
I have it on good authority that Flounder and Veronica thought long and hard for about 15 seconds to have you officiate.
I could have done
20.
I could have done it. If the guy backs out, I can still do it.
It'll be our backup.
You'll have 2 backups there.
The Kimmer Show, every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
The Atlanta Braves giveaways for this season are here, and you don't want to miss this lineup. Bobbleheads feature Chris Sale and Marcell Ozuna, presented by Delta, and a throwback bobblehead featuring Chipper Jones from the 2000 All-Star Game, presented by SeatGeek. Fans can also look forward to collectibles like the 1995 World Series replica ring and red home jersey giveaways presented by Coke, and a replica of Truist Park, perfect for your office. Visit Braves.com/promos to purchase your tickets today.
Hey, it's Mike with Atlanta Painting Company. We invite you to transform your home. Our expert team brings color to life with top quality paints and flawless finishes, and leading the industry with our color consultants. Whether it's a fresh coat of paint for one room or an entire exterior makeover, the Atlanta Painting Company has you covered. So, trust the local pros for reliable, professional service when you need to revive your home or business. Find us at AtlantaPaintingCompany.com or call us at 1-800-PAINTING. That's AtlantaPaintingCompany.com. The Atlanta Painting Company, the painters you can trust.
Donald Trump's America.
An executive order signed by the president during a crowded ceremony at the White House is intended to prevent transgender athletes from competing against female athletes.
The war on women's sports is over.
The president says the action will allow the Education Department to penalize schools and risk their federal funding if they allow transgender athletes identifying as female to compete in girls' or women's sports or access female locker rooms.
This will effectively end the attack on female athletes at public K-12 schools and virtually all U.S. colleges and universities.
President Trump says he also intends to prevent transgender athletes from competing against women at the 2028 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles.
My administration will not stand by and watch men beat and batter female athletes.
A previous executive order declared the U.S. government recognizes only 2 genders, male and female. At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Attention Warriors, are you a veteran ready to navigate to success after service? Tune in to the Warrior Alliance Network. Join us as we spotlight inspiring stories, provide essential resources, and connect you with a community dedicated to empowering veterans. From career advice to health and wellness tips, the Warrior Alliance Network is your go-to hub for post-service success. Tune in Saturday mornings at 11 a.m. on Extra 106.3. Join us on the mission, the Warrior Alliance Network, where warriors thrive together. Visit us at thewarrioralliance.org for more information.
The Dean's List with Janice Dean.
A detective from Michigan who bought a new bike for a stranger makes today's Dean's List. A resident from Saginaw found himself without his primary means of transportation after his bike was stolen. Detective Presley was assigned to the robbery, and despite doing everything he could to track down the thief, the bicycle was gone. After hearing the man's story of how much that bike meant to him and his livelihood, that's when Detective Presley decided to do something out of the goodness of his heart for his community. He went out and bought the man a brand new bike from his own savings. The photo by the Saginaw Police Department was shared on social media. It read, "This is the smile on a face of an individual who has rediscovered his joy." It's well known that Detective Presley possesses a generous spirit and is renowned for his empathy. Detective Presley generously purchased a new bike for this man using his own funds and restoring his happiness. Thank you, Detective, for your kindness, generosity, and humanity. Janice Dean, Fox News.
WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey Broadcasting Station. This hour is presented by Van Sant Law, vansantlaw.com.
They have to decide by today. I'm Dave Anthony. Fox News is the deadline for federal workers to accept President Trump's buyout offers to resign.
There's 40,000 workers that have accepted that buyout. That represents about 2% of the federal workforce. And the Office of Personnel Management says workers who opt for the buyout will get paid through September without working. Some of the unions and attorneys say the offer isn't guaranteed. When the buyout offers was announced last week, it was expected that 5 to 10% of the federal employees would accept it, leading to $100 billion in annual savings.
Fox's Lucas Tomlinson at the White House. Now, the Democratic anger over Elon Musk's Department of Government efficiency is growing.
What Elon Musk is doing is illegal. It is a coup.
Congresswoman Sarah Jacobs at a big protest in D.C. demanding Musk be stopped. A lawsuit filed against Doge has led the Justice Department to work out an agreement limiting Musk's access to some financial data within the Treasury Department. There's a new Trump transgender order aiming to bar athletes born male from competing in female sports.
We're putting every school receiving taxpayer dollars on notice that if you let men take over women's sports teams or invade your locker rooms, you will be investigated for violations of Title IX and risk your federal funding.
Next hour, the president will attend the National Prayer Breakfast. And there's a new Trump Truth Social post writing that Gaza would be turned over to the U.S. by Israel when the fighting ends, as a ceasefire with Hamas still holds. Now, there's pushback throughout the Middle East opposing the Trump plan to rebuild Gaza. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu tells Fox,
"This is the first good idea that I've heard. It's a remarkable idea."
This is Israel urges Palestinians in Gaza to voluntarily leave another country, joining El Salvador, agreeing to accept illegal immigrants.
Guatemala says it'll accept migrants from other countries who are being deported from the United States. President Bernardo Arévalo says the detainees would eventually be returned to their home countries at U.S. expense.
Jonathan Savage, America's listening to Fox News.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated in the best hearing aids of 2024 by USA Today, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, just $189.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 500,000 happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Police Sergeant Christopher David Fitzgerald of the Temple University Police Department sustained fatal gunshot wounds while attempting to arrest a robbery suspect. The Tunnel to Towers Foundation provided a mortgage-free home to his wife and their 5 children in honor of their forever hero. Christopher was a great father, husband, brother, and son who is so very missed. Heroes like Christopher protect and serve our communities and our nation. Show your support. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. That's T2T.org.
Hey, it's Clay Travis. Buck Sexton and I are coming your way at noon, but right now we're getting your morning started right with Tug, Rhino, and Carlos Medina on the Morning Xtra.
So it's starting to be planned right now. There was a group of our friends that are on this big, huge text. There's probably, 10, maybe 20 of us on this thing. And it's like, hey, what is everybody doing for the Super Bowl? We're hitting the ground a little later than normal. There's usually a plan in place, but now everybody's laying the groundwork for just a little gathering on Sunday. Talking about the food. Are you going to bring just finger foods? Are we going to go all out and do, pots of chili? And,
keys in the jar?
So you don't drive drunk home?
Yeah.
Everybody's got to work on Monday, so I don't think anybody can get too crazy.
That's always the argument every single year. Shouldn't this be a national holiday?
Yeah, right. And what I think I saw a polling that said almost 60% of people said yes, it'd be great. Well, yeah. Who's not in favor for another day off? I'm surprised that number's not 100. Like, who's the dissenters on this one? No, I don't want the day off.
What we need to do, and let's do it in the interest of America. Let's blow off this whole Juneteenth thing. Y'all didn't know anything about it. Y'all didn't grow up in Texas like I did. I knew what Juneteenth was during that time period. The rest of y'all figured it out. Now you're going, what if they take away Juneteenth? I'm just saying let's trade it for the Monday after the Super Bowl. It means a lot more to everybody else. We can stop pretending that we really care about when people in Texas found out that they were free as far as slaves. And let's have something that matters a lot more, which is after Super Bowl Sunday.
I got no argument. I like the day off. I love the fact we get the day off.
Why is it not just on a Saturday? I know it breaks the tradition.
But I heard a clip of the podcast that Travis Kelce does with his brother Jason, and they're like, no, it belongs on Sunday. People need to adjust to the Super Bowl. Super Bowl doesn't need to adjust. I disagree, Los. Put it on Saturday.
Super Bowl Sunday, that matters. The NFL is a Sunday product. It's just what it is.
But it don't make sense, man. You can't blow it out. You can't have a good time on a Sunday because you got to go to work.
Once college football starts winding down, they move games to Saturdays anyway. And you take a week off because of the Pro Bowl. It's not like
But you do have, we're talking, playoff games. And the reason why you end up having them on Saturday is in the interest of now I've taken over the entirety of the weekend and I'm going to collect as many viewers as possible.
Right.
But the prime games like AFC, NFC Championship, that's Sunday. Super Bowl is Sunday.
You're standing
Games,
on
Sunday.
tradition instead of making it so everybody can have a great time.
And by the way, one of the toughest times to get any viewership is on Saturday evening.
Because everybody goes out to dinner.
Right.
But that would change for the Super Bowl, don't you think? You don't think it's big enough? I mean, that's a big enough.
I'm telling you, we're going to trade Juneteenth.
Look, I'm
for
with
Super Bowl
it.
Monday. We call it Hangover Monday.
That's right.
All right? Again, you didn't care about the slaves in Texas any more than I did when I was reading about it when I was in school. But we all care about Monday after the Super Bowl. Let's face it. Let's start being a little bit honest about what really matters to us.
No argument whatsoever.
Were you concerned about the people in Galveston that didn't know they were free for 2 years? No. You were concerned about what happened after the Falcons lost to the Patriots 28-3.
Yeah, my dog died.
Which one actually still resonates with you?
I miss Ernie
You don't
Bernie.
care about what happened to these people on the Texas coast. You care about the fact that Julio Jones made a catch that should have won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
This is not hard to point out.
No,
and
you're right.
What's weird is that in this PC culture, people start going like, oh my God, you're not allowed to actually say that. But we all know it's true. I'm not lying to you.
No,
you
you're
know which one really matters. You know Matt Ryan should have a Super Bowl ring.
Yes, he should.
Far more that you're concerned that some dude in Houston was like, what do you mean I'm free? Maybe we should have a federal holiday over this. No, maybe we should have one after the Super Bowl.
Everything you said is correct. No argument whatsoever. But the fact of the matter is they're not going to change it. They're never going to do it.
No, they won't.
It's a great idea. They're not going to do it. That's why moving it to Saturday is actually logistically possible.
I'm just pointing out that maybe we should invest in things that people actually care about.
1,000%. I couldn't agree with you more.
Imagine that in Trump's America. I invest in things that people actually care about.
People want and people care about. And you're seeing it. But funny enough, because Taylor Swift, she was outspoken about her support of Kamala Harris, right? I mean, there was no doubt who she was.
She was out there, yeah.
She talked about it. So, of course, someone's going to ask Travis Kelce, well, what about President Trump attending the Super Bowl on Sunday?
It's a great honor. I think, no matter who the president is, I know I'm excited because it's the biggest game of my life, and having the president there, it's the best country in the world. So.
Great answer.
All right, yeah. Whoever's the president, it's cool. It's the best country in the world. Way to run right down the center lane.
Great, but it's a great answer for him.
Yes, absolutely.
Because if he answers, it sucks, then all of a sudden he is the most hated man in the world, and he doesn't want to be that.
Did you see, and forgive me because I'm not up to date on all my NHL knowledge, did you see the most recent Stanley Cup champions visit the White House?
I did. Was it Florida Panthers, right?
Florida Panthers, and they were all dressed as Donald Trump.
Was that the red tie picture
Yes.
I saw? I never knew what that was. Okay.
They all dressed
That's funny.
identical to Donald Trump.
That's
as
funny.
like hey, thank you for inviting us here, and we're all going to try and dress exactly like you.
That's funny.
This is the wild part about this. Pop culture, sports culture has all moved back in that dude's favor. And so maybe Travis Kelce, who is going to the Hall of Fame, do not doubt this is a great player. If people get caught up in the Taylor Swift thing, okay, fine. But this is a guy who, when it comes to every NFL record in the playoffs as a pass catcher, the only one in front of Kelce is Jerry Rice. That's it. This dude is first ballot Hall of Fame.
Without a doubt.
And so when he comments on this stuff, understand that it does matter within the sports lexicon.
And the sports media, devout leftists, most of them.
And they're sitting back saying, we gave him an opportunity to trash the president,
and he didn't take it.
He did not jump on it.
It's so funny.
Even though his girlfriend obviously was for Kamala Harris and has been pretty devout when it comes to rooting for the Democrats.
Because he could have, you said he went center, and he did. He gave you a center of the road. I mean, there was nothing, good or bad. It's just like, hey, he's president, greatest country in the world, glad he's here. He could have drove it in the ditch. He could have, pissed off that that group of people even more, because I believe right now, even though he didn't say anything outlandish, that the sports media is probably still in meltdown mode, just like everybody on MSNBC this morning. They cannot believe that he would say anything even remotely kind about Donald Trump.
Well, and you think about his teammates. Patrick Mahomes' wife has been
a Trumper.
Very honest about being all about MAGA Republican. The quarterback's wife has been out there. The coach doesn't say much of anything. He just happens to kind of come across as, it might be a little bit more Republican.
Something tells me.
The kicker in Harrison Butker, the Georgia Tech great.
Yes, that's right.
You know where he is.
Mm-hmm.
So Kelsey's just basically playing the line of, I'm not going against my own teammates. I'm just going middle of the road.
Yeah, why would I? There's no winning here. There's nothing.
Not at all.
And why would I put myself in a bad situation?
And by the way, the Super Bowl should not be political.
No.
Like, we should be able to ditch that on Sunday and just enjoy some football and then have Monday off that we exchange for Juneteenth.
Look, I'm for it.
I gave you back Juneteenth. Listen, I got the documents on what's going to come out on MLK. Maybe we change out that day, right? I mean, if I'm playing by the left's rules.
Yeah, right.
Hey, this guy was having all these affairs and doing all the... Maybe instead you give me Monday after the Super Bowl. You already took away Columbus Day.
That's right.
Now it's National Indigenous Peoples Day, and I don't even get that day off.
Yeah, right.
I used to when I was a kid. Let's make a trade.
Yeah.
I'm just asking the left, let's be honest with each other.
Let's
put politics aside on Sunday for the Super Bowl, and then I get Monday off.
They can't. They will never. They can't. And it's funny because you see, was it Gracie Hunt? Is she the owner of the Chiefs or the
I believe
daughter,
it's the daughter
of the owner?
Yeah, of the ownership.
And she's been very clear about who she votes for, and it's Donald Trump. And she's sharing, Bible verses. She's very spiritual, from what I can tell.
By the way, the Hunt family, there's Texas.
Okay, so big Texas money.
Big Texas money.
She said that, because you brought up Harrison Butker, she said that he's rubbed off so positively on Patrick Mahomes, and she's seen it happen. And I love that. That makes, because I like Mahomes. There's no reason for me not to like Mahomes. He's incredible, and you knew it prior to anybody.
He's the Michael Jordan of the sport, right?
That's right. You were ahead of that when it came to drafting him way back when that happened. But it's so funny to see people being completely open and honest about their faith, their belief in Donald Trump, the fact that they voted for Donald Trump. 6 months ago, this would have been unheard of. Travis Kelce's answer would have been lambasted across every major outlet, most that were getting paid by the Biden administration. We learned yesterday. but no doubt they would have been lambasting him.
The manipulative media paid for by your own tax dollars.
That's right. And there's not been a peep. No. There's not been a word. Everybody just accepts it. Oh, he's cool with the president being there. Okay.
The entire society has altered, and it all comes from Pennsylvania. That dude getting shot changed everything.
It did.
It really did. The
mugshot was like the precursor to that. The mugshot, and then the actual shooting. That
changed the psychology
monumental.
Of everyone involved.
So monumental.
To the point where the left, as much as they felt like they could treat that man like a piñata, what they didn't realize is when you did from that point on, you were the one who was getting lambasted for it. Like, people were going back at you, saying, "Okay, I know what you're about." It's interesting to see this storyline at the Super Bowl, and when a guy goes middle of the road, nobody says a thing. Whereas a year or two ago, they would have been like, "But what about January 6th, Travis Kelce?
Yeah, or
are you endorsing this?"
Yeah. That's right.
No,
they would have
all
brought
gone.
up George Floyd too. That would have been in.
Well, the patron saint in fentanyl is
right, but most people are starting to realize that. Most people are starting to hear it, see it.
Did he overdose from fentanyl?
Yes, most people now understand that.
When Derek Chauvin gets out of prison, and the story the dude already got stabbed in prison. It's like it's gonna come down that eventually this guy is going to have a retrial and he's gonna get out, and maybe at that point we're fully healed from everything from 2020, but as long as I get my pound of flesh from Anthony Fauci, if we can just go ahead and get him into some sort of prison, then we can have all healed from 2020.
Yes, and that would be the great healer. I just don't expect that's going to happen.
No, I know. I can only listen. I'm only hoping.
No, I know. And look, I hope it happens. I mean,
I told you, I'm inventing holidays right now.
You're next level, dude. You have leaped ahead. You're like in a time warp, man. You're like Super Mario Bros.
I'm putting out all my wishes. I'm rubbing a lamp right now, just saying, can we make this happen?
And maybe it will.
Come on, let's go.
Look, I love everything you brought up. I love. I'm not 100%.
You're just more realistic than I am.
Well,
I'm dreaming a little bit to open up the 7 o'clock hour.
You're optimistic. I'm realistic. Right, at least in this moment.
That's fair.
It's at least in this moment. But the Democrats, they're surprised at how fast things are moving, and you just brought it up. How, gosh, nothing is phasing people anymore. People aren't grasping their pearls about everything that's said, and that has happened really fast too. People talk about how fast Trump is doing things, and he is. It is at unbelievable speed. But the thing that I'm most surprised by is how nobody is grasping their pearls. Yes, MSNBC is, but who cares? Nobody listens to them. Nobody cares about what they have to say. And so nothing is phasing people the way it used to. When you say George Floyd died from a fentanyl overdose, it doesn't shock people.
He only had like 4 times the typical limit that kills people.
It's less than 6 months that's at November, December, January, February. 3 months. 3 months. We've gone from, I can't believe you said that. You're a terrible, horrible person. 3 months later, nobody even bats an eye. That's just as fast as the way Trump is working.
There's a miscalculation that happened on the left. And we talk about what happens when you're in a comfortable society. You will pay attention to things that you typically don't. For instance, climate change. Climate change would be an issue that suddenly when you're fat and happy and you're doing well, you'll say, oh, I've got time for other things. You'll listen to different situations and say, normally I don't have time for that. Now I do. We have been in such a tough economic area when it comes to the amount we've been having to spend for our lives. I think the number was, it was under Joe Biden, it was $12,000 more to live in Biden's America than it was in Trump's just 3.5 years ago. That has stretched people to the point where they don't have time for the BS. They don't have time for stuff that's frivolous and doesn't matter. In 2019, 2020, they'd listen to all this stuff.
Yeah.
They were flush with cash.
Yeah.
They were willing.
That and happy.
Now, I don't have time for that. Think about yourself. In 2017, 2018, Tug Cowart, high school son, here's what we're doing. Everything's rolling right along. Now you've got somebody who's in college. You've got those additional bills. And so when somebody comes to you and says, I was offended you didn't use my pronouns.
They're like, what? I got a bill to pay.
Exactly.
I got to get to work and get out of my way.
Care.
I've got to go to work because I've got to take my second job to pay for all the things that I used to have to worry about.
In 2017, 2018, Tug, you might have been like, oh, I'd like to. I'm sorry about that. You might have gone down that road.
Most people will.
Things have changed
drastically. And it's funny you bring that up because the Democrats are on the wrong side of most everything. I mean, they're just not headed in the right direction. Now, there's a couple Democrats that recognize it. But men and women's sports, defending waste, fraud, and abuse in the federal government. And then, like you said, the environmental extremism. Like, nobody has time for that anymore, and nobody supports any of it. Even if it's important to you, people don't care. And the Democrats are still, at their core, trying to push out that message that you just described that nobody has time to care about.
You have talked about this in the past. What it's like to try and move a giant ship. Get it out of port, turn it around, here's what's going on.
There's a lot goes into that.
It takes some time and it takes some effort. That is where the Democrats find themselves. The communists have a hard time right now changing direction. They are so hardcore about revolution and here's how we're going to implement it. The problem is once their ideas fall out of favor and they have to do a different sort of revolution, we're right now with the cruise ship. Like, they can't turn things around quick enough. They can't figure out how to.
And what they've done, though, is speed up the process, especially young boys, of them becoming more conservative because of the crazy things that the Democrats are on the wrong side of still to this moment. They can't turn the ship around, but what they've done is lit the fire under people who disagree with them and want to go away from them. It's amazing that they don't see it. And I love it. I love seeing my son say, you know what? Here's what matters to me. And then he's like, yeah, me and all my buddies, we watched the debates. We watched the results coming in. And we were having cold beers, giving cheers each state that Trump took. That is all because of those things that the Democrats are still on the wrong side of. When we come back on Extra 106.3. Story time with Front Office Los, the Death Star, Obama, and the Trump geniuses that we talked about. We just cracked the surface of last hour here on Extra 106.3.
Hey, it's Flounder, and the Kimmer Show is live every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m.
I could never close a deal. I was always a big brother. You know, well, never mind. Nobody wants to hear that crap. Sorry. I'm sorry. How are you? What's going on in the mountains?
Gay big brother, huh?
Oh, don't worry about Kim.
No, they were...
The Kimmer Show, every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
Neil Borch here. Maybe you've already taken the steps to improve your health, maybe save your life. You're using a CPAP for your sleep apnea. I've been using one for well over 20 years. So right now, I'm here to tell you about a source for CPAPs and CPAP supplies here in the Atlanta area. CPAPs, etc. They're in Alpharetta. They have whatever you need. Roddy and Sharon are your CPAP experts, and they'll ship nationwide. More information, cpapsetc.com.
Why shop for Valentine's Day at D. Geller & Son Jewelers? Because you don't want to end up like shouldn't have case number 605.
Happy Valentine's Day, honey.
Ooh, what's in the box?
Just a little something I got for you. You want to open it?
Okay. What is this?
It's a meal kit. I thought you could make us a good dinner. They say if you hurry, you can have it on the table in 30 minutes. Now, if you'll watch out, I'll light the stove for you.
Oh, babe. You shouldn't have.
High heat and high pressure make diamonds. They shouldn't make dinner. This Valentine's Day, give a treasure, not a chore, with a beautiful piece of jewelry from D. Geller & Son, like diamond hoops starting at $875, tennis bracelets starting at $15.15, and diamond studs starting at just $190. Save up to 20% with our Valentine's gift guide, or go big and get 0% APR financing for 5 years. Take the risk out of shopping this Valentine's Day at D. Geller & Son. Serving romance, not recipes, since 1939. In Kennesaw, Sandy Springs, and online at dgeller.com.
Hi, I'm Chris Lalamia, owner of the Trusted Toolbox. Got a to-do list a mile long? No problem. We've got the ultimate solution, our Handyman for a Day program. Here's how it works. You get a skilled handyman dedicated to knocking out your honey-do list. Paint touch-ups, drywall repairs, door adjustments, and much more, all done in one day. You want to jump into spring and not worry about your home? Call us now before the rush for your Handyman for a Day, and call us at 770-623-3097 or visit us at thetrustedtoolbox.com. One call, one handyman, one day, the Trusted Toolbox.
Are you concerned about securing your family's future and assets? Look no further than Nelson Elder Care Law. As a family-owned and family-focused firm, we offer absolute assurance and peace of mind through our comprehensive asset protection services. Visit NelsonElderCareLaw.com to explore how we can safeguard your legacy and provide tailored solutions for your family's well-being.
If you're looking for a great new gig, our friends at Atlanta Peach Movers are now hiring. No experience? No problem. Training will be provided through Peach University. And if you have verifiable experience, you can score up to a $500 sign-on bonus. Contact Orlando for more information at 404-640-1300. That's 404-640-1300. And get your new career moving with Atlanta Peach Movers.
True Prep, Atlanta's leading preparedness store, has two incredible deals going. The Smith & Wesson M&P 15 Sport 3 AR-15 for just $649, featuring a mid-length gas system, 15-inch M-LOK free float handguard, and 30-round P-Mag. Choose a Smith & Wesson cap or 16-ounce tumbler free with purchase. Plus, get 1,000 rounds of check-made brass case Boxer Prime 223 ammo for only $399.99 or 20-round boxes for just $8.99 each. For directions, visit us online at trueprep.com. That's TRUprep.com. True Prep. Prepare today for a worry-free tomorrow.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Good morning. These are your headlines for Thursday, February 6th. The White House says it plans to cancel $8 million in subscriptions to Politico after this being discovered with the investigation into USAID. CNN is referring to this as a false right-wing conspiracy theory. When it comes to the airline industry, another little mark on it, as well as a Park Delta plane was hit on the tarmac while waiting to take off. A minor accident did occur between two planes. This coming out of Seattle, Washington. The incident came over at the Seattle-Tacoma International Airport. A spokesman for Delta Airlines ended up telling the local media that a Japanese airline was taxiing on the tarmac when it hit the Delta plane in the wing. A Georgia lawmaker is trying to give the University of Georgia, Georgia Tech, and everyone else a little bit of a competitive advantage, as they would like to make the colleges and universities not have to lose players to other states due to taxes. Alpharetta State Senator Brandon Beach is proposing an exemption to the NIL money from state income tax. With your headlines, this is Carlos Medina.
My guy up in Alpharetta, Georgia, Brandon Beach. Good work, man. I think he's onto something there.
Hey, if the guys aren't getting taxed, that's a competitive advantage if you can get it.
100%. And I'm about not paying taxes. I mean, the ones that I have to pay, sure, I'm going to pay them. I'm not going to obviously be stealing and get myself in trouble. But I am opposed to taxes as much as I can possibly be. And if somebody could not pay taxes and it be legal for them not to do it, I'm in.
Well, you and I have both done this work as contract workers in the radio field. You might have a home base where you're a W-2 employee. Anything else you do outside of that is untaxed income that you then have to pay for at the end of the year. All they're proposing is that these young people, men and women, will not have to pay taxes on that income after the season's over with or when they get it.
Love it. And if we can get rid of the IRS, love that. I mean, there's all kinds of things. Like I have these. You have your thing with new holidays. Mine is I just want to see taxes go away and the external. What is it? The External Revenue Service?
The External Revenue Service. Because
I'm a fan.
If you imagine a college football player of some ability and some notoriety, and they receive $100,000 in what ends up being this contract, here's what we're paying you. That young person typically isn't thinking about it. Hey, I'm going to owe Uncle Sam 27% of this at the end of the year, 25%, whatever the percentage ends up coming down to. And so suddenly they're writing a check going, what happened? I'm like,
that's right. Welcome to the real world. But surely somebody, like I would think that on the staff at the University of Georgia or on the staff at Georgia Tech, they have people that are saying, hey, you got to make sure you put your money away because here's what you're going to need to pay at the end of the year based on this. So I feel like at least they're not. A long time ago, I feel like they could have drove off a cliff. Right now, I feel like the mechanism is in place.
It's just that not everyone listens.
Oh, now but that's on you. I mean, look, I'm in favor of the bill altogether. But if you're told, hey, at the end of the year, you got to pay for this, and then they don't do it, that's on you.
Listen, 40-year-old me, when I'm thinking about selling a property, in my mind, I'm getting rid of my realtor fees. Like I think to myself, okay, there's 2.5 there's 2.5. Okay, so I'm going to get 5%.
Adds up to.
And then I go, and what are my capital gains? And I immediately delete that in my mind and say, I got to put that aside because here's what I got to do in April the following year. 20-year-old me is like, it's all money. Woo! Here we go. Fireworks. Boom. Finger rockets. It's awesome.
Right. But then again, those kids have the mechanism in place at the university. You might not have had that.
I didn't have that.
A 20-year-old.
What do you mean I owe you money?
That's right.
What money do you speak of, Uncle Sam?
My son's playing college ball, but he's not doing anything like, these kids at, major programs like Georgia and Georgia Tech. He's not doing that. So he doesn't have that mechanism in place, but he doesn't have that money coming in either. Anytime we get rid of taxes, I'm in favor of it. I love it. I love to see people go, well, how are we gonna pay for? I don't know.
That's for other people to find out.
And I don't care.
Figure out.
I don't care. I just don't want to have to pay taxes anymore. I am opposed to them. I don't like them.
That might be one of my favorite things about the movie from 20 some years ago, Armageddon. when they're making their demands to the government about when they're going to do the job. Like, you want us to fly up to this meteor and drill a hole. They just said the last thing that Bruce Willis says, and nobody wants to pay taxes again, ever.
Yes. Write that down.
It's their final demand. If you want our services, none of us will pay taxes again, ever.
Did you see this morning that there would be a tax discussion that brought in Armageddon? Because if you did, you're smarter than I.
Your bingo card, you got it.
I did not see that one coming through, but I love it. All right, let's get to something that will entertain you and educate you. I hope you have your number 2 pencil. I've never felt like a teacher before, but in this moment, when we do story time with Los, I feel like a teacher for a little bit, because you got to get out your number 2 pencil, make sure it's sharpened. Make sure you've got your notepad so you can take notes. That way you can reference it later when idiot people are talking to you about it and you flip to the page, like, here's the truth. You're about to get that truth. You're about to learn it with Story Time with Los. And it is brought to you by Atlanta Ramjack, your local foundation repair experts, atlantaramjack.com.
Settle in and get comfortable, folks. It's story time with Uncle Los.
Thank you, Tug. Such a wonderful intro. And thank you to Joe Virgin River. So Virgin River today. He's got the sweater on.
Virginy.
Everything else. He even asked me, he's like, can we get a National Sweater Day? And I was like, I don't know if you'll get the day off, but it's probably out there.
Yeah, I mean, I bet while he does this, maybe look it up. Is there a National Sweater Day? Because there's an everything day. There's
That's right.
National French Fry Day, National Take Your Dog on a Walk Day. I mean, anything and everything.
I don't know if we still have the whole National Cosby sweater. You know, it's kind
probably
We just passed it.
What?
It's February 4th.
National Sweater Day? Well, it's already
and I didn't
out there.
even wear a sweater.
No, you did. 2 days ago, we were talking about it.
You did have a pretty one on 2 days ago.
Good.
So
Yeah,
you
you're good.
listen, you bracketed it.
Let's go.
You're in good shape.
There you go.
I'm likening this to the movie Star Wars from 1977. So I try and make things we talk about very understandable, because sometimes they're complicated. Sometimes the stuff we get into has a level of convoluted information and stuff that's a little bit nutty. And so what I would like for you to think of, if you remember the movie Star Wars, I would like for you to think of the Death Star.
Dun, 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 dun,
The
dun, dun.
battle station that can destroy worlds with a single blast. I would like for you to think of it as the federal government. All right? The Death Star. Got to blow it up.
Such a great comparison. The
Is
federal government.
The
and
federal
Death Star.
government.
Yeah.
And if you remember in that movie, the plans had gotten out of the Death Star, and the Rebel Alliance recognized that the only way to destroy the Death Star was by putting a torpedo down this one little shaft. And that was going to be the fatal flaw of it. That, you know, there's no other way to do it.
It was the Achilles heel, if you will.
And so that's what Luke Skywalker was able to do in the end. And we all celebrated the Death Star being blown up. It'll create a chain reaction. It'll blow up the Death Star. And so that was the crescendo of the movie, was getting rid of the Death Star. With that in mind, I would like to talk about today's federal government, because it's really hard to dismantle what's going on. But it has an Achilles heel. It has a Death Star shaft. What is that? It turns out it's Obamacare.
What?
What does that mean, Los? What do you mean Obamacare is the way to end all of the federal government, the Death Star, all the crazy spending? If we go back to when Obamacare went through Congress, and again, it got passed. Remember, Nancy Pelosi, well, we're going to have to let us pass it so you know
we can find out what's in
it.
Yeah.
And then you had the games that were played. We deemed it passed. You know, it was a whole lot of gamesmanship that were going on.
Very convoluted.
Before it was signed. Remember Joe Biden? This is a big effing deal. One of the things that the Democrats did not anticipate is something that they built into the law. Again, law. All right? This wasn't an executive order. This was a law that was created. It is on the books. It is completely legal. What they created was the USDS. Now, the USDS was the United States Digital Service. What was that department supposed to do? That department was given carte blanche, mostly over Obamacare, but because they felt like the entirety of Obamacare would filter throughout the entirety of the government system, that this department, their job was to provide digital services in the interest of finding inefficiency. If you felt like you weren't spending your dollars in the right way that was helping Obamacare, the USDS could get involved and start making changes to what you were spending your money on and changing. They were given authorization to use all the computer systems within the federal government to look for inefficiency. This is the genius of the Death Star shot from Donald Trump's people around him. I'm not going to tell you that Donald Trump came up with this. What I will tell you is some genius around him came up with this. According to this law, again, law.
Not Los's opinion.
Not an executive order. According to this law, the chief executive, the president, is able to staff this organization the way he sees fit. And they would be given temporary status under, and I can give you the exact law right here, 5 U.S.C. 3161. Basically, you have 3 years if the president appoints you to carry out this job of searching for inefficiency. Now, here's the genius part. So the United States Digital Service was essentially and legally blown out. And what stepped into its place? Doge. Now, they actually assume the acronym of USDS. Legally, it's the same organization.
But just out loud, everybody calls it Doge now because that's what they talked about on the campaign trail.
But it is USDS.
Love it.
What has gone on is the Obamacare system that was supposed to be used in order to look for government inefficiency has been blown out. Doge has moved into it legally. And now they're able to look for what? Government inefficiency.
Waste, fraud, and abuse.
And they're able to have carte blanche, full use of any one of the government's computer systems. For the left that goes crazy, they're hacking. Oh my God, look what they're hacking the Treasury. You know what they're legally able to do under Obamacare and the USDS?
Look at the Treasury.
Look at everything. It's completely legal. What has happened is the Trump administration, we talk about coming into play and being ready to go. Day one, here's what we're doing. Not only are they doing the obvious things, the executive orders of freeing up energy and locking down the border and changing policy. Tug, these people are so on top of it that they took an Obamacare law
and used it against them
from 15 years ago, and they've used it against them so that whenever they want to say, when you see Jasmine Crockett or you see Chuck Schumer or anybody, this is not, they just can't establish a new government. They didn't.
They didn't have to.
They used your own system against you, which is completely 100% ironclad legal. And when you go through this, and I was reading through some of this from Tom Renz, great attorney. He's been all over some of the COVID mandates and some of the vaccine mandates for years. He's analyzing this, and he's even pointing it out when he had it on Twitter. There are elements of this where the president actually had more power than he asserted. But he decided, I'm going to scale it back here and there and make sure that I just fit into the lines
I just accomplished
of the law.
What I said I was going to do.
This is what I'm going to do. And so when you go through what he has done and what they have been able to accomplish, as it's pointed out, this is from Tom Renz. Trump also ordered that Doge teams be hired in every administrative branch agency. These teams are to include a team lead, a lawyer, an HR person, and an engineer. These teams work for USDS or Doge, but work with and within various agencies. They have been able to filter through the entirety of the government because of the power given them by Obamacare. They've been able to take over and assume the role of USDS, again, legally. And now they have oversight over all government inefficiency. Wherever they point it out, that's why the left is losing their minds. They have been beaten on the field of battle by smarter people. The football team and the chess team got together and kicked their ass.
Dude, this is the greatest day of my life. I've been waiting for this my entire adult life. When are we going to dismantle this waste, fraud, and abuse that we know? The Washington Post has reported that in the biggest agencies of the federal government, at least 10% of every budget is waste, fraud, and abuse. That's the Washington Post. That's not the Morning Extra. This is that's a left-leaning, that is a leftist outlet, and they're telling you there's 10%. Think about the amount of money that each of these agencies have. And you know, starting that 10% of it's waste. Can you imagine what they're about to uncover?
We're trying to cut trillions of dollars. And I'll finish this up with Tom Renz, another tweet that he had. He said, while not complicated to read, the plan was brilliant. Trump did not actually create a new agency. Instead, what he did was repurpose an existing agency, the USDS, into something more useful, which he had the legal right and legal standing to do. This is victory. This is, in Trump's America, this is what ass kicking looks like. All right? And whenever your leftist friend or your Aunt Peg starts complaining about what they're doing, it's illegal. You can say, thank you, Obama, and thank you, Obamacare. It is ironclad legal.
And
they created the law.
And when they complain about, well, why are they looking at USAID? It's only such a small amount. And look at the waste they found in that small sector. Wait till they get to Medicare, Medicaid, the VA, you name Social Security, you name it. Wait till you see the waste, fraud, and abuse that they're going to cover because of exactly what Los is talking about.
And they have the legal standing to do so for 3 years.
The devious laugh. That's so good. Oh, my goodness. If that doesn't make you smile this morning, I don't know what will.
Winning feels so good.
And it will never, ever, ever get old. Trump said that's the only thing he's gotten wrong so far, is that you're going to get tired of winning. No, sir. I am not. When we continue on Extra 106.3, thank you, Los, is brilliant, excellent, the genius that they're using in D.C. And there's not many things I would say genius about what comes out of D.C., but that's genius. Pam Bondi comes out dropping actual bombs. Next on the Morning Extra.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
After making no moves on the trade deadline, the Atlanta Hawks lost at home to the San Antonio Spurs 125-126. Trae Young had another 30-point game, going for 32 with 12 assists, but with 9 turnovers as well. And Onyeka Okongwu also scored a double-double with 30 points and 12 boards. For the Spurs, Wembanyama scored 24 with 12 rebounds. And in his first game for San Antonio, De'Aaron Fox scored 24 and had 13 assists. The Hawks' record moves to 23-28. They play the Milwaukee Bucks next at home on Saturday. For Extra 106.3 Sports, I'm Joe Virgin.
You may know that ATL Turf Co. has become a leader in artificial grass design and installation services. But you may not know that ATL Turf Co. is a large artificial grass distributor. We only sell U.S.-made, premium name brand turf at factory direct pricing below wholesale. And now we're open to the public with large inventories of lawn and landscape, putting green, athletic, and pet turf on sale. Plus, all remnants are on sale for only $1 per square foot, direct from Dalton to our warehouse in Kennesaw. Visit atlturfco.com to learn more. atlturfco.com.
Who doesn't want a great smile? The world seems brighter because it is. Hey, it's a Kimmer. How's it going? You know, that's only one reason to see my dentist, Dr. Dina Giesler at Atlanta Smiles. The other reason, of course, is to take care of your teeth, or they're going to make your life miserable. We all know that. But when's the last time you were smiling before you walked in the door like me? Because I know Dr. Dina and her staff are the happiest Kimmer babes you ever saw. We're going to fix me up, and I always take the gas. They tell me my best stories come out that way. And you can actually get a doggy right there, napping in my lap, a little doggy. I said, go ahead, work away. Dr. Dina's a Navy vet, ranked a master dentist, which only 1% can say. She's been doing veneers since before anybody even knew what that was. My first visit was 30 years ago. Cosmetic dentistry, cleaning, bridges, crowns, especially keeping your teeth and gums healthy to last as long as you do. Veterans automatic 10% discount. Just tell them when you call. Atlanta Smiles, 404-262-7733. It's atlantasmiles.com. Your new smile's waiting for you. atlantasmiles.com. Tell them the Kemmer sent you. Ask for the doggy. atlantasmiles.com.
Are you tired of dealing with loud, ugly, drafty garage doors? Do you have certain rooms in the house that you can't keep cool in the summer or warm in the winter? Hi, I'm Dan Watkins with All Four Seasons Garage, Entry Doors, and Windows. Now is a great time to upgrade with brand new, efficient, quiet, and beautiful garage doors. Your garage door is the biggest opening in your home, which is why it's such an important part of your home's curb appeal and energy efficiency. Give us a call today at 770-517-7078. Get started today by visiting us at allfourseasonsgarages.com. LeeBrandt.com.
Lee Brandt Jewelry and Watch Company, where quality and value make the difference. Locally owned and located in Sandy Springs, offering you the finest selection of unique diamonds, sapphires, rubies, and emerald jewelry, as well as other fine gemstones. Lee Brandt Jewelry and Watches has been servicing Rolex watches for over 30 years, and their Rolex-trained watchmaker will service your watch in their state-of-the-art Rolex service center in their store. Lee Brandt uses only genuine Rolex parts, and their estimates are free. Drop by Lee Brandt in the Trader Joe's Shopping Center in Sandy Springs or visit LeeBrandt.com.
Hey, Georgia neighbors, it's time to expect more from your Medicare Advantage. Discover Sonder Health's custom plans tailored just for Georgians. Saunders offers unique benefits, including special plans for those living with chronic conditions. Some plans even come with grocery or gas benefits to support your overall well-being. Sonder Health makes it easy to get the coverage you need. See for yourself what today's Medicare Advantage can do for you. Visit SonderHealthPlans.com, a healthier state of life. Sonder Health Plans is an HMO and PPO with Medicare contracts. Enrollment in Sonder Health Plans depends on contract renewal.
Keep up with all of our shows and the latest headlines by following Extra 1063 on Instagram, X, Facebook, Truth Social, and all your social media platforms. Plus exclusive giveaways and more. So follow now at XTRA 1063.
Tug and Los until 10 on the Morning Extra and Extra 1063. 7 o'clock hour brought to you by Van Sant Law. If you're in an accident, make the right call. VanSantLaw.com. MSNBC, as we have it on the studio, we do it for entertainment value because there's nothing of actual value that comes from MSNBC. But they're in meltdown mode about USAID, and one of their top stories is the fact that Ben Stiller is saying, no, the government USAID did not pay for my trip to Ukraine. Well, I guess we'll know for sure once they get to the bottom of it all, because we have the ability, as you learned in Front Office Los's story time, we have the ability through law, legal action, to go through every agency and root out waste, fraud, and abuse. So Ben Stiller, nothing to worry about, I'm sure. But if there is, we'll find out about it. That's the beauty of what's happening. So much. Here's another thing. Then I want to play a piece of audio for you too, real quick. A little audible. It's John Kennedy. I want you to hear what he said about the people in Washington, D.C., the people that you're dealing with in D.C.
It turns, you see the worst in people. I know many people in Washington, D.C. that would unplug your life support to charge their cell phone.
Let that sink in for a little bit. You shouldn't be surprised. I'm not surprised. Would unplug your life support to charge up their cell phone. That's how low down and despicable DC is. That's what power and money does. It corrupts every time. There's not a time when someone has incredible power and incredible wealth that they won't be corrupted. And look, I would even say now, do I want there to be regulation, and regulation, not the right word, oversight over even the Republicans that are in power now? Yes, because I want them to be held accountable too. I just played the cut Los of John Kennedy's talking about how people would step over you.
They'll disconnect your power in order
your
to
life
charge
support
their phone.
to charge their cell phone. That's the kind of people that we're dealing with. That's why they're so pissed that you've taken their power and their money in D.C.
It's such a cutthroat environment. When he made that,
but it's
point,
next level cutthroat. Their business is cutthroat.
Business is cutthroat.
This is different.
I was just talking with a couple of the guys outside when you were opening up the segment. You know, most notably Chris Domino, who will Braves Radio Network. He'll join us once the Braves are in the playoffs a little bit later this year. And I called him the Buffalo Bill of Atlanta radio.
Okay,
that he's dangerous, and he does dances, and he's kind of out there. Everybody in DC is Buffalo Bill.
Yeah.
They're all just have a lust for power
and money,
and it takes something to get there. You gotta be a little bit. It's just because I don't believe that we have very many citizen servants anymore.
No, it doesn't exist. I really don't think so.
They exist, but then they're ostracized and they're made out to be weird. Like, as much as there are people that don't care for Marjorie Taylor Greene, I think Marjorie Taylor Greene to this day is like, I'm going to go up here and make a difference and ruffle some feathers. And she ain't for everybody, but I like that.
But that's what we need.
Disruptors.
Yes,
System
right.
disruptors.
And that's what Trump is. That's what Pam Bondi is. Now that Pam Bondi has been put in place, holy cow. On day one. She's like, we are identifying all funding agreements with non-governmental organizations, NGOs that support illegals. We're going to stop the weaponization of the legal system. We're going to make prosecutors seek the death penalty where appropriate. We're going to make or completely eliminate cartels and transnational crime and criminal organizations. Dude, she came out swinging a baseball bat.
And they thought Matt Gaetz was the problem.
Don't you believe to this moment, or at least I do, to this moment, I believe that was we're going to put him up there to make everybody go crazy, knowing that he's not going to be the guy.
I think that was the sacrificial lamb for somebody who wanted out of Congress.
And Gaetz was like, heck yes, I'll go in there, because he's like Marjorie Taylor Greene, loves to make waves.
And so then you trade out Matt Gaetz, who would have been under fire on a regular basis, for this beautiful blonde lady who comes across as, oh, she's just here to go ahead and take care of her business. No, she came in with a sledgehammer. The first thing she ends up doing is saying, hey, that sanctuary city status, yeah, you're not getting any more federal funding until you revoke that.
What do you think of that?
Day one.
Dude.
Day one. And you thought Matt Gaetz was a problem? If you were like, oh, I wonder what Matt Gaetz is going to do. Pam Bondi came in and basically said, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, here's the bomb. But deal with it.
But that's the thing. It's all part of the Trump playbook. And he's had 4 years to come up with it and organize it and lay it out to a T. It's like, and you would know this, Los, even better than I. The first series of a college football game for the offense is scripted, right? You know exactly where you're going.
Yep.
And that's what Donald Trump's been sitting on for 4 years, scripting the first plays.
We'll get into this a little bit later, but I talked about how Kirby Smart, the head football coach at University of Georgia, so when he has recruits that announce that they're going to Georgia, it's scheduled. It's not like the young man decided on a Tuesday, I'm going to Georgia, and then he announced I'm going to Georgia. There's an understanding of, all right, you're announcing on Tuesday, you're announcing on Thursday, you're announcing next Monday.
We want to keep the positive news in the cycle.
So we stay in the news cycle, that it sounds like we're getting everyone. That is what is going on in this administration. They are making it a point. Like today I stand staring over at MSNBC during news breaks going, I wonder what today is going to be.
And they are too. It's funny, one of the supers across the bottom of the screen was, there's so much going on, the Democrats don't know how to react. That was on MSNBC. They're admitting it as much so.
Anna Paulina Luna, who, I'll just point this out. When it comes to, I know you have a fascination with AOC. I do not. But Anna Paulina Luna, most beautiful woman in Congress.
Easy on the eyes. Very beautiful woman.
And she ended up going on Benny Johnson's podcast and pointed out that there's something coming out next week that's going to make people recognize what their country's been up to, and it's about establishing honesty and trust again. Now, nobody knows what it is, and she didn't really say other than, thank you for Donald Trump for giving me this responsibility. So we know it's going to happen, but that's that drip, 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 drip. Pam Bondi, she came out with the big haymaker yesterday. There's going to be something in the next 48 hours again where they're going to go, we appointed her? Yeah. And it didn't matter who you were going to pick out. This is what the Trump administration was intending to do to you.
Reading in the Wall Street Journal yesterday that they expect, their reporting is that they expect a peace deal to be announced late next week between Russia and Ukraine. Dude, that's part of the drip, I bet.
That would be part of the drip.
Holy cow. When I was reading it, I was like, oh my God. And the most interesting part to me, Los, is it's the first time I've heard of it. It's not, there's no leaks. There's no leaks in the Titanic, man.
It's different this time around. You don't have, and Donald Trump was very honest about this, and I give him credit for talking about making mistakes in 2017. Gets elected, January 2017, takes power, and he's a guy who has run businesses. He's never run Washington. And so he's looking around, and as he said, I was given lists of people that I needed to hire. And as he started doing it, that's why there were so many firings that were going on. It was, you gave me a bunch of establishment people that had no interest in serving my agenda. They were interested in protecting their own power. This time around, 100% different.
Dude, it's unbelievable what's happening. And that statement from Anna Paulina Luna, that was part of the schedule. That was part of the drip.
And think about it. When you look at the attorney generals under Donald Trump the first time around, whether it's, you've got your Barr, you got your dude out of Alabama, Pam Bondi comes in and immediately, takes the stake and drives it into the heart of the vampire.
I love it. I can't get enough of it.
Neither one of them would have ever done anything. Sessions had no interest in this. Barr, no interest in this. Here's Pam Bondi. Yeah, you're not going to get any more federal funding until you fix this.
Sorry about your luck. It's fun to watch, man. And the meltdown is even more fun to watch. What did you think Trump was going to do when it came to the lefties? What did you think was going to happen? You're seeing it. We'll talk about it next on Xtra 106.3.
It's time for the Bortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Xtra 106.3.
It's called the United States Agency for International Development, a very fancy name. It's in the crosshairs of Donald Trump. For some reason, Trump thinks that the money spent by this organization, which is your money, by the way, is asinine, absurd. Could he be right? Well, let's look at some of the expenditures. $1.5 million to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion in Serbia's workplaces and business communities. Another $700,000 for a DEI musical in Ireland. $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia. How about almost $1 million for some activist named Stephen Leonelli for his work on protecting the human rights of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and intersex individuals around the world. Leonelli worked on adding a third gender option to the 2021 national census in Bangladesh. I know that was on the wish list of every American taxpayer. And speaking of American taxpayers, where do you think this money comes from? Like the money for a transgender comic book in Peru comes from you. And Leonelli and the government hacks who seize this money from you and spend it on these programs think that it's more important for Peru to have a transgender comic book than it is for you to keep that money and spend it on the needs of your family. That's political thinking. More importantly, it's Democrat political thinking. Time for this all to come to an end. Neil Bortz, Xtra 106.3.
For half a century, glyphosate has affordably and effectively protected Georgia farmers' crops from invasive weeds. Without it, the impact would be felt beyond the fields, hitting Americans where it hurts, our wallets. That's why the Modern Ag Alliance advocates for farmers' continued access to essential crop protection tools so food prices don't rise even more. Get the facts at controlweedsnotfarming.com. Paid for by the Modern Ag Alliance in support of Georgia farmers.
You know the old expression, I love it when a plan comes together? Well, with our First Liberty Notes, this has been so true. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about our family's company all the time right here on the station. For over 30 years, we've been the local lender who said yes when the big banks say no. A couple of months ago, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Folks from airline pilots to physicians to even pastors are now earning 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of local small businesses. If you're a qualified investor with a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. Go to firstlibertyga.com and see if our First Liberty notes are right for you. Go to firstlibertyga.com. That's firstlibertyga.com.
First Liberty notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. SEC accredited investor status must be verified. Securities not offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
One of my favorite Babylon Bee headlines just now said, "Democracy falls as the man who received the most votes becomes president," ladies and gentlemen.
The Kimmer Show, every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app. WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey Broadcasting Station. The 8 a.m. hour is brought to you by Central Heating and Air.
We're about to hear from President Trump. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. He'll soon speak at the National Prayer Breakfast. And at the same time,
progressives will be holding a news conference that is likely to echo a lot of what we heard at the nobody elected Elon rally. As had the Treasury Department, you had Democrats casting Musk's role at Doge as illegal.
Fox's Jackie Heinrich at the White House.
Democrats have been pressuring their lawmakers to do more to stop Trump's agenda, like protest Senate votes and throw up roadblocks, calling Elon Musk an unelected bureaucrat who's amassed unchecked power.
Though after a lawsuit, the Justice Department has put a limit on Musk's Department of Government Efficiency access to sensitive Treasury Department financial information. And as Musk aims to trim federal spending, today is the deadline day for federal workers to accept President Trump's buyout offer. And about 40,000 of them have agreed to resign and get pay and benefits through September. The president has a new transgender executive order.
With this executive order, the war on women's sports is over.
He threatens to cut federal funding to any schools that allow athletes born male from playing in women's and girls' sports. President Trump posted on Truth Social this morning that Israel will give the U.S. control of Gaza to rebuild it after the fighting ends, as the ceasefire with Hamas remains in place. As for Palestinians living there,
the Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz says any departures from Gaza would be voluntary. He's ordered his military to start making plans, accusing Hamas of using Gazans as human shields. Palestinians across the region fear the Israeli plan is an effort to erase them completely from their homeland.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. A controversial Trump nominee gets a vote today in the Senate Judiciary Committee whether to advance Kash Patel, who's in line to be FBI director, to the full Senate for confirmation the day after Pam Bondi was sworn in as Attorney General.
I will restore integrity to the Justice Department.
Bondi issued a memo to pause federal funding to sanctuary cities resisting federal immigration raids. America's listening to Fox News.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated in the best hearing aids of 2024 by USA Today, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, just $189.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 500,000 happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Police Sergeant Christopher David Fitzgerald of the Temple University Police Department sustained fatal gunshot wounds while attempting to arrest a robbery suspect. The Tunnel to Towers Foundation provided a mortgage-free home to his wife and their 5 children in honor of their forever hero. Christopher was a great father, husband, brother, and son who is so very missed. Heroes like Christopher protect and serve our communities and our nation. Show your support. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. That's T2T.org.
Wake up with the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3 Atlanta.
I think it's so interesting. You heard in that. You have gifts. You come bearing gifts. Look at there, 0 FGs, and it's the sugar-free one. I tried the one with sugar in it, and I couldn't do it.
There's only 4 left in the building right now.
Oh my heavens, this is like gold.
But I managed to get 2 of them.
Where? How?
It's a hidden area, but I will tell you this.
Okay.
This is going to be a bit of a challenge for you and I because I did not know this. They do have expiration dates on them.
Oh.
Now, it's best if consumed by.
Oh, yeah. Right.
And I'm not concerned when it says 2024 on mine.
Yeah. Mine says 6/7/2023, and I'm not concerned either.
Let's do it.
I don't care. And it's funny because my wife, she throws things away. Like if she gets cold cuts, she'll throw them away at day 4. And I'm like, I was going to make a sandwich.
I don't get that either. My wife does the same.
Immediately throws it away. I'm like, it's not even. She does that with everything, like leftovers. If it's like more than like 2 days, it's gone.
Yeah,
and I'm like, easy killer. I was going to eat that for lunch.
There is no problem when you put. Now I know it's not sealed in the proper way, but if I put pizza in a box in the fridge, and I go after it 4 days later. It's fine.
It is.
There's
totally
no
fine.
salmonella there.
And even if it is, I've eaten it enough that I have the salmonella tolerance.
That's right. Like, my gut health will be able to handle anything you throw my way.
Dude, I've never had an issue. I've never gotten sick over eating leftovers. And let me tell you, I will wait till the very... If it's me throwing it out, that means it's been there a month.
And that's another thing. You know, eating vegan as long as we have, we're going on like 5 years now.
Yeah.
One of the adjustments you start making mentally is that when your food stays out, it doesn't spoil because it's not the same as leaving something out that will spoil.
Yeah.
So, like, I remember in Nashville, I went back after some vegan mac and cheese, and my wife was like, that's been sitting out all night. And I go, so? And she's like, you're right.
It's glorious.
So just because it's been in the fridge for like a week doesn't mean that my fake sausage is somehow going to be bad or it's going to kill me.
It's going to be just fine.
It's going to be just fine. It's going to be not quite as yummy as the day that I cooked it, but it's close enough.
Yes. It's going to be just fine. Stop throwing my leftovers away, please.
Stop getting rid of my food.
If I could just plead. My wife and I have been married 24 years in April. If that could be the only adjustment in our marriage, that's the only one I need. Stop throwing my leftovers away.
You want me to talk to her about that?
If you don't mind, bring it up. Gently. Just be like, hey, for Valentine's Day.
I talked with Jerry, and he says that for Valentine's Day to give him something very special, she'll be like, oh, what is that? And I go, will you stop throwing his leftovers away?
That's it. I don't want you to pay for anything. I don't want you to buy a card. I don't want you to send me flowers. I don't want any of that. Just stop throwing my leftovers away.
It's not asking a lot.
I don't think it is either. I mean, look, I told y'all that, like, all of a sudden she's into Valentine's Day. And I think you nailed it yesterday when you said it's because your son has moved out of the house.
It's time for romance again.
Yes. I am thinking so. And how are you doing?
What's up?
But that's
you just creeped Joe out. Sorry, son.
Yeah, because he's about my son. He's not very far away.
Good morning now.
The funniest drop of all time.
Well done, JoJo.
Sorry. I apologize for losing it. But it's
asking for little things for Valentine's.
All I'm asking for. Stop throwing my leftovers away. But she's interested in Valentine's Day, and it's been in the last 2 years. And as you pointed out, your son is now a sophomore in college. Look at the numbers. Yes, you nailed it. And so, yes, I'm going to buy, now that she's into it, I'm going to buy her cards, and I'm going to send her flowers. I'm going to do all that. All I'm asking for is stop throwing my leftovers away. That's it. I don't want anything that costs anything that's actually saving you money.
For Valentine's Day, I will go and have the discussion with your wife in a friendly manner.
Yes.
I'll say, hey, you know those cold cuts?
Yeah.
Like you had them on Tuesday?
Yeah.
I'll be like, you know how you start thinking about like Friday or Saturday throwing them out?
Don't
do it anymore because Tug's going to want to eat it on Sunday.
That's right.
And Tuesday to Sunday.
It's fine.
It's fine. It's in the refrigerator.
For that matter, Sunday to Sunday is fine.
Yeah, it's sealed.
Fine.
It's totally good.
Doesn't bother me at all.
There's stuff that I have in my fridge right now that's been in there for 3 or 4 days that my wife's like, I'm going to throw that out this weekend. And I'm like, no, you're not.
Do not. Whatever you do not. If
45 seconds of heating up in the microwave and it's good to go.
That's right. Stop breaking my heart because isn't it the worst? And I swear we'll move on. Isn't it the worst when you are craving something that you know's in the refrigerator and you can't wait? You're thinking about it as you drive home. I can't wait to throw that in the microwave, or I can't wait to eat that. That's what I want for lunch. And you get there and it's gone.
Yeah.
It's just not there. I mean, my heart sinks down in my stomach like something horrible has happened because I think that is horrible.
And the issue for me is that my wife will then tell me, like she did something for me. Oh, no, I got rid of it. I threw it out. Why?
What'd you do that for?
And in her mind, she did me a favor.
She's protecting you.
That I'm not going to get sick
I know
from something that's been in the refrigerator for 4 or 5 days. And I'm just telling her I want that adventure.
Yeah, I don't think there's ill intent behind what your wife or my wife is doing. I do not believe that they're doing it with ill intent.
My entire life is a choose your own adventure book.
That's right.
All right, I'm turning to page 37. I'm going to eat that thing that's been in there for a week.
Leave it alone. Just leave it alone.
Not going to page 56.
Or at least ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, can I throw this out? No. Daddy's planning on eating that.
There you go.
That's right.
When are you going
or
to?
Maybe it's yes.
I don't know.
It'd be rare that you get a yes out of me. But I just know that there's been times where she has asked, and I'll be like, no, I'm going to eat that. And she does it anyway. She'll throw it. She's like, it'll make you sick, or it's spoiled. You shouldn't eat it. Let me have that opportunity. Let me make that decision.
You know what never goes bad? You know what never spoils? Potatoes.
That's right.
Now, there might come a time where they do, but you really got to push it.
But I mean, yeah, yes.
So it might be a week and a half old, and my wife is looking at me like it smells a little bit different. And I'm like, I don't care.
It's fine.
It's potatoes. And you know
Tastes
what?
good.
45 seconds in the microwave
Tastes
with a
just fine.
little bit of hot sauce, and I'm in a good place.
Just tastes just fine. It's filling my belly. So just that's something to consider. If you're a woman listening right now, consider that as a Valentine's Day gift to that special man in your life. Just something to think about. All right, Elon, there was an update, the Fox News update, right as we started this segment. And it said Elon, this is the Democrats were saying, Elon, an unelected bureaucrat, and they're saying he's amassing power and he's doing all these things that we don't agree with. And I was like, amassing power? Dude's trying to put himself out of a job. Like, what kind of unelected bureaucrat tries to put themselves out of a job? None of them.
No.
They want to be there for life.
They want to basically be the government.
Elon wants to get it corrected and be done with it.
And if you missed story time in the previous hour, intentionally using the Obamacare laws, you have this group in Doge that has a 3-year window, and that's it. Legally, they cannot be employed to continue this beyond 3 years.
Got work to do. And I want to share this tweet with you that I saw. It's from Austin Alfred. And I don't know much about Austin. Looks like a...
Is he your friend?
No.
Is he just a regular guy out there?
GauntletAI.com. It looks like he looks like a tech guy.
Okay.
And so his tweet that Elon quote tweeted, and I'll share what he wrote about it. Austin's tweet says, remember how Elon bought Twitter and totally destroyed the company through his own hubris, or that's at least what I read. Turns out it's not only profitable, but has doubled since he took it private. It's unbelievable what he's been able to do with this. He's doing exceptional work, and Elon quote tweets and says, because this is a troll to these people that are angry about what he's doing in the federal government, he's like, it's almost like I'm good with money.
It's almost like I'm the richest man in the world because I actually manage this stuff well.
Just pointing out, and you know that is nothing but a thumb in the eye because he's quick to do that.
Yes.
He is quick-witted.
He is all over Twitter and all over X with that
He
stuff.
is busy with it. I love it. I think it's great. And I don't know what the left thought they were getting, Los. What did they think Trump was going to do? He told you from the get-go his plan. Now he's implementing it, and they seem caught off guard or confused by it.
So I'm going to ask you this question, Tug, because you are a Southern gentleman.
Well, I try to be.
All right? You're mild-mannered. You're a man of faith. You're a man of service. You're a father. You're a husband. You're all the things that people go, okay, that's a pretty good dude.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I can tell you that. I know you well. I've known you for a long time. You're a good dude.
You're kind.
Let's say I tried to shoot you.
I'd probably not be as kind.
Let's say I tried to put you in prison.
I probably wouldn't like you as well as I do right now.
Let's say if I tried to bankrupt you.
I would be upset.
Let's say if I had a team that decided to raid your home and we went through your wife's underwear drawer and everything that you had.
I'd say that's where I would really do. I mean, I think all of it's a line draw. I mean, but when you start going through my wife's personal items, I would be screaming, furious, mad. I would come at you with everything I had.
Let's say that I went to HR, and in the interest of this scenario, I can't impeach you, but I went to HR and I made up stories about you.
Like maybe they would suspend me or
racial
something.
comments or anything else.
Yeah, just making up things and lying about you from, dude, I would be furious. I would be. And I don't know that I would react very well to any of that. I mean, I think anybody Anybody's going to have the same reaction. They're going to be super pissed at you.
So as a Southern gentleman who's saying you'd be super pissed at me, how the hell is the left surprised that Donald Trump is gutting them and gutting the deep state and doing it in a way where we're 3 weeks in and they're going, oh my God, I can't believe he was going to do this. Look what you did to him.
I know, right? It's such a natural
And now
response.
he's the most powerful person in the world going, the rabbit's got the gun and check out what's going to happen here.
That's right. It's so funny because he's never proclaimed to be super gentle, never proclaimed to be super kind.
Oh, I let bygones be bygones. It's just politics. Oh,
yeah. He is a guy that is super successful because he's able to have tough skin. He's able to maneuver in probably uncomfortable situations and make deals happen. That's the type guy he is. I'm not that way. He's never tried to pretend that he's the nicest dude on earth.
No.
He's never presented that.
We've talked about his character flaws.
And they're many.
And he's got them.
Or did have them. I got to tell you, and this
the shooting probably changed some stuff.
I think it did, man.
Yeah.
I really do.
But the FBI came at the king and they missed. And what do they always say? If you come at the king, you best not miss.
The first time I ever heard that was on the Atlanta Braves radio network when Ben Ingram. And I forget what was happening, but it was in that playoff run leading up to the World Series, and he used it, and I was like, that is genius. I'd never heard it before.
It's an old school term. If you come at the king, you best not miss. It's the same as if you want to be the man, you got to beat the man. All right, the FBI they were not able to beat the man. So what's going to happen? Man's coming back at you,
buddy.
So none of this is a surprise. None of this is a surprise.
The difference in the way it's going to be presented is he's trying to get retribution for people, the things that people. Yes, he is. But he's going to do. I think the difference is he's going to do it within the law. It's not going to be lawfare like the Biden administration had done for the last 4 years against him. He's going to work within the bounds of the law, just like he is with Doge that you laid out in story time. He doesn't have to go around the law because he has the law on his side. I think that's the big difference in him allowing the people around him to investigate any of the nonsense that happened during the last 4 years. And let the facts lay. Let them fall where they may. And if there's someone who broke the law, they deserve to be prosecuted. And if not, we'll move on.
Yeah, very simply. And this is the fun part about having.
And they'll get away with some of it. They will.
Oh, of course. That's always going to be part of it. There are people that are going to skate.
The law is set up that way.
Yes.
It is intentionally done that way by the Founding Fathers. That way, we would rather have somebody get away with something they did than punish someone for something they didn't do.
Right. It's the concept of innocent and proven guilty and the idea that we're going to catch the worst of the worst offenders and that some of you, because you might have colored outside the lines, you might skate. But yet, you came at the king. What do you think he's doing to you?
He's going to find a way within the law to repay you.
What is happening at the head of the FBI and everybody throughout that organization? Why are we all getting pink slips? Maybe because you were pretty unlawful in what you were going about your business. And here's the other part too. They could have been completely lawful. And yet it's at the discretion of this administration and whoever heads up the FBI to just say, it's time we need new blood. And you got to go.
And I love it. Because you have those people that are career, FBI agents, and they're concerned. They're like, well, I was just doing what I was ordered to do. And of these people, because there is a list of people that worked on the prosecution of Donald Trump, CIA got that to FBI, or vice versa. Point being, they're narrowing down who worked on this. And Donald Trump and the administration has said, if you were merely following orders, you won't be punished. You
don't have to worry about it.
You did what you were asked to do. However, if you were coloring outside the lines, if you were intentionally doing something that was going to harm Donald Trump and his family or his businesses, buddy, you better buckle up because we're coming after you with the full force of the law.
Private ownership and even government. If you have a boss who decides that I just don't like you, they can terminate you. Now, as long as they don't make it about pregnancy or weight or color or anything else, that's well within their right to get rid of you.
In our contract right now, we've got a clause in there, and I don't know where it is, but it just says we can fire you with or without cause.
With or without cause. That is part of the deals that we sign in this building, the contractual relationship we have with ownership. Now, fortunately, if you take care of your business, then you take care of your business. But ownership at any point, as a private company, can just decide, I don't like you. Or maybe you did something where they are embarrassed, or whatever their reasoning is. We don't have to have reasons. That's something else that's going on the left. This is unlawful. You're getting rid of these people without cause. They don't need it. They don't need cause. Sometimes we just make a decision to move on and change the direction, and that's the cause.
Or it could be simply, we are diminishing the size of government, and you are no longer needed.
That's all.
That's the cause. That's what we're trying to do. And that's why there's 40,000 people in the federal government right now that said, I'm taking Donald Trump up on his offer to get paid for 8 months and go find a different job.
And it doesn't matter what company you work at. Amazon, Walmart, Delta, Coca-Cola. You've all heard about how this happens. It's the federal employee that's like, we don't ever shrink government. What do you mean?
Right.
What do you mean I'm getting a pink slip?
Hey, that doesn't exist in government, right? That's what I've been told for the last 40 years.
In Trump's America, it does.
Things have changed. There's a new sheriff in town. Morning Xtra, Tug and Los until 10 on Extra 106.3. 8 o'clock hours brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning. Your Atlanta Carrier experts, one of the few second-generation locally owned HVAC companies in Atlanta. With Central, you're not just a number, you're a member of the family. When we come back, Mike Johnson assures those who are really, really upset right now in the federal government, what you're seeing is very normal, and I think he's right. Next on Extra.
The Kimmer Show is only live on Extra 106.3 every weekday afternoon on your drive home.
I have it on good authority that Flounder and Veronica thought long and hard for about 15 seconds to have you officiate.
I could have done 20. I could have done it. If the guy backs out, I can still do it.
It'll be our backup.
You'll have 2 backups there.
The Kimmer Show, every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
Good morning. It's El Pollo Diablo. That's what we established last time, right? The devil chicken. Hey, it's Front Office Los as well. And I want to tell you about Howard Brothers and Kawasaki parts. All right, lawn season, it's coming up. Now, granted, we're getting a little bit of fall spring right now. And it's going to get cold again for a few days, and then it'll be coming right back. But this should remind you that it's time to start getting your lawn equipment ready. Get that equipment ready to go, whether you're a homeowner or you're a lawn care professional. Maybe you've got 40, 50 clients out there. They're going to expect that when the warm weather hits and the grass gets growing, that your equipment is ready to go. That's why Howard Brothers trusts Kawasaki genuine parts. They're quality parts that make all the difference. Whether you're gearing up for that busy season, making sure your machines are running at peak performance, or, like I said, you just want to make sure that you have the nicest looking yard in your neighborhood. That's me. That's why whenever I finish my lawn, I turn over to my neighbor, Justin. I go, ha-ha, your move, Corey. That's what I do because I can depend on my mower because of the Kawasaki parts that it has. That's why that engine runs stronger and longer. Always remember, the grass is always greener when you take care of it with Kawasaki and Howard Brothers.
Convenience is defined as the state of being able to proceed with something with little effort or difficulty. Well, at RBM of Atlanta, we embody this philosophy. Meet our Mercedes-Benz pickup and delivery service. It gives you back time and money. Does your Mercedes-Benz need service? If so, we'll pick up your vehicle that's requiring service from your home or office and bring it back to our dealership for the required service. With over 100 appointments available every weekday, over 50 appointments on Saturdays, and more than 200 courtesy vehicles in our fleet, we're here to serve. We'll work around your schedule. We're here to save you time, energy, and money. RBM of Atlanta is a J.D. Power 2023 Diamond Dealer of Excellence for the customer sales experience and Georgia's only 9-time Mercedes-Benz Best of the Best winner. We're proud to be Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964. Pickup and delivery service restrictions do apply. Ask your service coordinator or service advisor for details.
Hi, I'm Chris Lalamia, owner of the Trusted Toolbox. Are home repairs piling up? Are you feeling overwhelmed? Relax. We've got you covered. From drywall dings and leaky faucets to deck repairs and trim replacement, we're your one-stop shop for everything for your home needs. No more juggling multiple contractors. Just call us at the Trusted Toolbox and we'll handle it. Your home deserves the best, and we don't want you breaking your back trying. Call the Trusted Toolbox today at 770-623-3097 or visit us at thetrustedtoolbox.com. The Trusted Toolbox, your one-stop shop for home repairs and more.
If you're looking for a great new gig, our friends at Atlanta Peach Movers are now hiring. No experience? No problem. Training will be provided through Peach University. And if you have verifiable experience, you can score up to a $500 sign-on bonus. Contact Orlando for more information at 404-640-1300. That's 404-640-1300. And get your new career moving with Atlanta Peach Movers.
True Prep, Atlanta's leading preparedness store, has two incredible deals going. The Smith & Wesson M&P 15 Sport 3 AR-15 for just $649, featuring a mid-length gas system, 15-inch M-LOK free float handguard, and 30-round P-Mag. Choose a Smith & Wesson cap or 16-ounce tumbler free with purchase. Plus, get 1,000 rounds of check-made brass case Boxer Prime 223 ammo for only $399.99 or 20-round boxes for just $8.99 each. For directions, visit us online at trueprep.com. That's TRUprep.com. True Prep. Prepare today for a worry-free tomorrow.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Good morning. These are your headlines for Thursday, February 6th. The White House says it plans to cancel $8 million in subscriptions to Politico after this being discovered with the investigation into USAID. CNN is referring to this as a false right-wing conspiracy theory. When it comes to the airline industry, another little mark on it, as well as a Park Delta plane was hit on the tarmac while waiting to take off. A minor accident did occur between two planes. This coming out of Seattle, Washington. The incident came over at the Seattle-Tacoma International Airport. A spokesman for Delta Airlines ended up telling the local media that a Japanese airline was taxiing on the tarmac when it hit the Delta plane in the wing. A Georgia lawmaker is trying to give the University of Georgia, Georgia Tech, and everyone else a little bit of a competitive advantage, as they would like to make the colleges and universities not have to lose players to other states due to taxes. Alpharetta State Senator Brandon Beach is proposing an exemption to the NIL money from state income tax. With your headlines, this is Carlos Medina.
8 o'clock hours brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning, one of the few second-generation locally owned HVAC companies in Atlanta. $2,000 off a new carrier system if you need one, with their 28th annual Winter's White Sale. Otherwise, they give you a great deal on a maintenance agreement or repairing the system that you currently have. Whether it's carrier or not, they work on anything.
May I give you another piece of information when it comes to Central Heating and Air that is quality?
Yeah,
something you might not think of?
Yeah.
When you do decide to sell your home, because we're kind of in this process right now, one of the things that goes in the disclosure agreement is how often are you getting your unit serviced?
Really?
As soon as we pointed out that we had an agreement with Central Heating and Air, immediately that was your gold.
Check box.
Check box.
That's awesome.
Every few months, they're checking it out. They're taking care of it. And they know those systems, especially with our home, they are 10 years old. Yeah. The oldest is 14. And they're running it tip-top shape. Thank you to Central Heating and Air.
See, that's awesome. See, that's something you would have never thought about. I would have never thought about because I'm not selling my house. And you're probably not selling your house either. Lowe's just started selling his house like 2 days ago.
Yeah, about 48 hours ago. Wasn't really planning on it a week ago.
It just came out of nowhere.
The wife goes, I want this house. I'm like, we better sell this one if you want it.
Yeah, that's right. And the other one too. Let me tell you. And I've seen pictures. It's pretty darn impressive. Beautiful home. His wife and children are going to love it. It's amazing. I'm so happy for y'all.
But thank you to Central Heating and Air for making sure we checked that box.
Dude, making it that transition easy. Absolutely right.
Even the realtor goes, oh, you have a service agreement? I was like, yes, we do it every single year. And they immediately, there you go, you're
love
good.
Because the people who are going to buy your house are going to love that too.
They know the AC and the furnace are tip-top shape.
Exactly right. Donald Trump right now as we speak, he's delivering remarks at the National Prayer Breakfast. And I'm already seeing on social media, you're like, why is he talking at a prayer breakfast? He's not a very Christian-like man. I'm like, oh, my God.
Well, maybe because he's the president.
Yeah, and even if he's not, which I would argue now, I don't know, prior to him getting shot, I don't know. I really don't have any idea. A lot of things would indicate probably not. I do believe getting nearly killed in a Pennsylvania field changed the man. And I want to bring some comparison to this a little bit. My grandpa, World War II veteran, Army guy stationed aboard a Navy ship, USS Hope. They got hit by kamikazes. I remember sitting in his lap telling me these stories, and they were so vivid to me. And him getting off on some of the South Pacific islands and having to come back basically in his underwear, because when they would get off the boats, the things that they stepped in and the I guess where the water meets the shore, it was just stale and stunk to high heavens. They would have to take their uniforms off immediately before they came back on the ship. So I have this grand memory of my grandfather. I remember my daddy telling me one time, he said, you're very lucky because the grandpa you have right now wasn't the daddy that I grew up with. He was an alcoholic. He was definitely not a Christian. He was hard to deal with. He made irrational decisions. My childhood was rough. And I'm glad that he was able to change it, because I'm glad you know a different person than I knew. And their relationship was wonderful there as I was growing up, because he changed so drastically. I believe that's what's happened to Donald Trump too. Now, for my my grandpa, I don't know what the trigger was. I don't know why he changed to be this gentle, loving, wonderful man that I absolutely adore and I miss every day of my life. He shaped who I was. He shaped the beliefs that I had. I sat on his lap as a kid. I went to church with him and my grandma. I mean, it was a wonderful upbringing, but it wasn't always like that. And I believe that that's what you're seeing. The same type of story with Donald Trump.
You wonder what the event is. Because I still remember, one of my uncles, my mom's side of the family, it's a small family. And one of my uncles made a point that when I was born, and by the way, I'm the only grandchild on that side of the family.
Oh, wow.
And so when that occurred, my grandfather just doted over me. And that changed him in a way where I remember my uncle saying, we didn't get a whole lot of love growing up, and then you were born, and then suddenly he spread it to everybody.
It was
like
triggered.
We all knew how much he appreciated all of us. The stuff he did for me, suddenly he was doing it for his own kids. And so, yeah, being shot in a field in Pennsylvania, maybe that's the catalyst for changing some of the things that Donald Trump has did. As much as that first time around, there wasn't a whole lot of talk about faith or religion. It was an important within the administration, but it wasn't a bedrock foundational issue like as he's now brought up. He thinks he was spared by God to do something big. And I firmly believe he believes that.
I do too. I mean, you can see it with the way he operates. He's not way up here. He's not way down here. He's not tweeting crazy things that used to trigger everybody, which didn't bother me as much, but I understand why it irritated people. I get it. He's just not that way. It's not what's happening in this 2.0, if you will, of Donald Trump. There's great lyrics to a great song called Live Like You Were Dying. I don't know if you've ever heard that song from Tim McGraw. Incredible song. And it talks about doing all the things that you want to do and want to get accomplished because you know there's an end date. Live like you're dying.
He saw it. He felt it.
I think so, too. I really do.
I mean, if not for a graphic on a screen
that made him
just turn to his right.
What's it, like a quarter of an inch or something?
Yes, his head is gone.
And we're
in chaos, by the way, as a country.
Complete and utter chaos. Complete and utter chaos. Probably the likes that we've never seen before, including when John F. Kennedy was assassinated, right? Because there was already a vice president in line. Like, what would it have turned out like had he not turned his head?
I firmly believe this. You have a lot of Americans, as we're finding out stuff about USAID, about the amount of money that was spent in order to influence you, in order to change your way of thinking, subvert you from the truth. Like, that's what we're now finding out, that your tax dollars were used against you in order to treat you as an enemy of this country. And I believe that amount of people, 77 million of them that voted for him, would have been hair trigger crazy had he been shot and killed. We would possibly be in a civil war status. And I don't think that's playing it up.
Me either, man.
I think people knew underneath the surface, things are not right and things are messed up. And if he had been killed, watch out. And so I look at this is a reckoning, but it's a reckoning from a guy who has the belief of, I was spared in order to do something about it, to fix what's wrong with this country.
And I believe him, and I'm glad he's doing it, because I've got no reason otherwise to think just like what you're saying.
Show me something that's bad that you've done.
Give me something. Now, if you're standing in front of the Treasury and you're pissed that your slush fund is gone, it's hard for me to feel bad for you.
Right. If you're complaining about illegals being shipped out of the country, or a Lake and Riley Act to deal with people that cause harm or steal or anything else, and they get shipped out immediately, I don't have a problem with this. Tell me what's unfair or what's unjust about this.
Nothing that I can tell. And on top of that, I don't see the American people protesting. I don't. About what's happening at USAID, the only people that I've seen in D.C. protesting are bureaucrats, lifelong bureaucrats and politicians.
Government folk and those that they can then spend money to get them to turn out so that we can make it look like a bigger scene than it really is.
That's it.
Like if you sat in a coffee shop and you brought up, Tug Coward sitting in a coffee shop and you said, hey, I got a list of 10 things that the government is spending money on, and you went through them. And the one that we've had fun with is Iraqi version of Sesame Street.
It's like, good Lord. There's like $2 million on that.
Somebody is going to go, yeah, we don't really need to do that.
Well, I think most somebodies would say that.
Yes, and I don't care what side of the aisle you're on.
That's right.
The frivolous spending, the crazy spending should bother everybody. The only people it doesn't bother are the Democrats and the bureaucrats.
404-741-1230. If we're way off base and you have a problem with Elon Musk and Donald Trump figuring out
Sesame Street in Iraq.
If you want to defend that, please, 404-741-1230. But even more, even if you want to just say, I don't like Elon Musk, tell me why. Help me understand why you're not okay with them figuring out where the waste, fraud, and abuse is. Explain the other side. Help me understand it. 404-741-1230. Mike Johnson, I think he makes such a great point when he says this is pretty normal for an executive, like the president, to take a look at the agencies under the executive branch to make sure they're operating the way that they're supposed to. Listen to this.
What's happening right now, I think there's a gross overreaction in the media to what is happening. The executive branch of government in our system has the right to evaluate how executive branch agencies are operating and to ensure that not only the intent of Congress in funding mechanisms, but also the stewardship of precious American taxpayer dollars is being handled well. That's what they're doing by putting a pause on some of these agencies and by evaluating them, by doing these internal audits. That is a long overdue, much welcome development. That's what the American people demand and deserve. And that's what's happening. So we don't see this as a threat to Article 1 at all. We see this as an active, engaged, committed executive branch authority doing what the executive branch should do. They have broad discretion in all the funding, as you all know, because you follow this. When Congress funds an agency, they give broad discretion to the executive branch on how it's administered. They're using that authority right now in a way it hasn't been used in a long time. So it looks radical. It's not. I call it stewardship. I think they're doing right by the American taxpayer, and we support that principle.
What did I say about what they were doing? That the executive branch, the chief executive, is given broad powers over this. Ta-da!
And the Supreme Court has upheld it.
Yes.
That's the other part of it that he didn't even mention.
Everything that is occurring right now has legal precedent and is spelled out within the law. All of it. And I know you left losers are all like, oh, I'm so upset. We should impeach him. He's breaking the law. He's not.
But that's the thing. And Mike Johnson started with it in that cut when he said there's a gross overreaction in the media. I would add the bureaucrats and politicians to it because those are the only people reacting to it. Everyday Americans are not going, no, I think we should send $2 million to Iraq for Sesame Street. No, I think we should be funding all these other crazy things that have nothing, no benefit for the United States of America. So I think he's dead on when he says they're reacting, they're overreacting. The American people are not.
Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, he is not hosting morning political radio, talk radio in Atlanta, so he doesn't say the same things I will, but I will help him out. No, the communists on the left are the ones that have a problem with this.
That's right.
The news media, the communists on the left. The bureaucrats, the communists on the left. The Democrats, the communists. They're the people that have a problem with this. Mainstream America, and remember, when you look at the polling, 3 out of 10 people favor Democrats right now, or look at them in a favorable fashion. 7 out of 10 Americans do not. So let them cry, let them complain, let them claim illegality. You are in the right. You don't have to justify yourself to these people anymore. You're the winner.
You don't have to defend it.
7 out of 10.
Right. And
agree with you.
And here's I got to tell you, man, even if Trump was doing something wrong, which I don't believe he is, and the law backs him up, even if he were doing something wrong, I think people would just be just fine with them dismantling waste, fraud, and abuse. They would be okay with it if it wasn't doing it the right way, which he is.
It's all legal. But if it wasn't, and here's the fun part about what the Biden administration has established for us. Well, why don't you go to Pam Bondi and ask her to deal with it? Oh, she won't. Oh, why don't you go to Congress and ask them to do something about it? They can't. Well, why don't you go to the Senate and see about impeachment? Not going to happen. And if you happen at some point to find some sort of federal charge on Elon Musk, in the most unlikely event, then he's going to get a pardon. You can't do anything. It's awesome.
Because you've already set the standard for pardons.
You pardoned your entire family on the way out to Joe Biden. You think that Elon Musk is going to have a problem with any of this? Elon, paint outside the lines if you want. Although everything they're doing right now is in total legal standing.
Even if he
wasn't.
So and even if they weren't, and he wasn't, the American people, 7 out of 10, would be right behind him.
You realize how beautiful that is, that the only thing that your liberal Aunt Peg can do is cry harder. They have no power no ability to do anything.
The last 2 times that I've visited her, when I walk in the house, MSNBC is on. Guess what she does? Grabs the control and turns it off.
She right now,
I swear.
She right now has a pocket knife and she's writing Aunt Peg was here on her roof and she's thinking about it.
No, I hope not. Man, I don't.
She's going all Shawshank on you. It's a tough time for Aunt Peg. You better tell Aunt Peg, got to reel it in a little bit, Aunt Peg.
Right.
Don't get too caught up in this, Aunt Peg.
All that part's true. I feel horrible for her. Don't go. I love you, Aunt Peg.
She's scribbling up on that. She's got the stool and everything.
Joe's reenacting it on the other side of the board. That's awful, Joey. That's terrible. Stop.
I'm glad a Shawshank joke is what fired Joe up this morning.
This is Trump's America. That we can laugh again, even when we're not supposed to.
You make jokes. Jokes are fun.
It's all back. Welcome back. When we continue on Extra 106.3, 8 o'clock hours brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning, your Atlanta Carrier experts, where they're offering you $2,000 off a new Carrier system in the 28th annual Winter White Sale. When we continue, congratulations if you avoided the Reuters deception. How do you know if you did? We'll tell you next on Extra.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
After making no moves on the trade deadline, the Atlanta Hawks lost at home to the San Antonio Spurs 125-126. Trae Young had another 30-point game, going for 32 with 12 assists, but with 9 turnovers as well. Onyeka Okongwu also scored a double-double with 30 points and 12 boards. For the Spurs, Wembanyama scored 24 with 12 rebounds, and in his first game for San Antonio, De'Aaron Fox scored 24 and had 13 assists. The Hawks' record moves to 23-28. They play the Milwaukee Bucks next at home on Saturday. For Extra 106.3 Sports, I'm Joe Virgin.
Too much laughter. For this to be a political show, and for a long time, the topics were so heavy and so controversial. And those days are gone in Trump's America. Those days are gone. Thank you. But there's so much laughter going on that I do need to stop laughing for just a moment to tell you about a way that you can save $2,000 on something that you possibly need. Well, let me say this. You definitely need it. Whether you need a new one or a repair or just a maintenance agreement, well, it's up to you which of those categories you fall in. Central Heating and Air Conditioning, proud to bring you the 28th annual Winter White Sale. 78 years. That's how long they've been in business. Being a local, family-owned company. Keeping your home safe, comfortable, and efficient. Now's the time to make your home healthier with Carrier systems that provide fresh, allergen-free air and proper ventilation. Take advantage of $2,000 in rebates on Carrier products. The industry leader in quality and performance. Do not wait. The winter white sale ends at the end of February. You can go to centralheat.com or call 770-GET-HEAT at centralheat.com or 770-GET-HEAT. If you don't need a new Carrier system, as Los and I were joking about before the break, you can get a maintenance agreement. Or you can get a repair for something that's not a Carrier system, but that just needs fixed. They can do that also at Central Heating and Air Conditioning.
Have you considered securing your family's future, protecting your hard-earned assets, navigating complex legal matters with ease? Nelson Elder Care Law is here to guide and empower you and your loved ones. As a family-owned and family-focused business, our mission is to exceed your expectations, offering absolute assurance and peace of mind. With our trademarked Absolute Protection Trust and expertise in customized estate planning, Medicaid crisis solutions, probate administration, guardianship, and conservatorship, Nelson Elder Care Law protects what matters most to you. Imagine a team dedicated to safeguarding your legacy every step of the way. Our flat fees ensure transparency, and our customized plans prioritize your family's specific needs. Are you worried about protecting your family and your legacy after you're gone? Let us help you ensure you're absolutely protected from whatever curveballs life may throw your way. Schedule a complimentary legacy planning meeting with our legal team in Marietta or Woodstock today. Contact us at 678-250-9355 or visit at nelsoneldercarelaw.com.
Hi, my name is Steve from Marietta, and we hired ATL Turfco to build our dream backyard golf setup. They installed a large 4-hole putting green, a sand bunker, a short game area, and did a full conversion to artificial grass around the pool with decorative retaining walls. ATL Turfco was really creative. They were efficient. The installation was a breeze. Price was completely reasonable, and I definitely appreciated their communication throughout the project. I would definitely recommend ATL Turfco to anybody thinking about doing a backyard makeover. You can check them out online right now at atlturfco.com.
Hey, Georgia neighbors, it's time to expect more from your Medicare Advantage. Discover Sonder Health's custom plans tailored just for Georgians. Saunders offers unique benefits, including special plans for those living with chronic conditions. Some plans even come with grocery or gas benefits to support your overall well-being. Sonder Health makes it easy to get the coverage you need. See for yourself what today's Medicare Advantage can do for you. Visit SonderHealthPlans.com, a healthier state of life. Sonder Health Plans is an HMO and PPO with Medicare contracts. Enrollment in Sonder Health Plans depends on contract renewal.
The Morning Extra from 6 to 10. Glenn back until noon. Clay and Buck from noon to 3. And the Kimmer Show on your ride home from 3 to 6. Plus Jesse Kelly from 6 to 9. And Jimmy Vela from 9 to midnight. The voices you need all day with the conservative voice of Atlanta. Extra 106.3 FM and the Extra app.
Tug and Los on the Morning Extra. Joe and I, Los, have been talking about leftovers through that entire break. That's all we talked about was how much we love leftovers and which ones are good cold, which ones are not, which ones you have to warm up, which ones you don't. Like, he and I both agree you can eat fried chicken or chicken wings cold, delicious. I think spaghetti is better on the second day than the first day. I think chili is better second day than first day. Do you have any... Do you buy into this, or you just...
No, I listen, I like pastas. And I like noodles, especially when you reheat them up. And normally, when I reheat them up, that's when the hot sauce goes on.
Oh, yeah.
I'll eat it dry. I'll eat it regular on the first night. But then when I heat it up, ooh.
The Rooster brand sriracha is my favorite.
Yes.
It's gotta be the Rooster brand.
I get out all my hot ones. You know, I've got like a bunch of those bottles, and that's when, especially like the chili maple, that's the breakfast one. Chili maples for breakfast. But then the rest of them are, lunch, dinner, hot sauce, extra stuff on it. So I do have a decision from your wife.
On my leftovers?
Yes, I went to go use the restroom, and on my way back in, I saw her coming back into the office.
Okay.
And I stopped her for a moment. Not really stopped. She just kept, it was a walk and talk. She didn't really take me seriously, which kind of was more of a reflection because I said, hey, I have something for your husband that he wants for Valentine's Day. And she just kept walking, but she entertained
She's
me.
like, oh my God, what could this possibly be?
I said, he's requesting as a gift if you will not throw out his food as quickly as you have been. Can you give him another day or two? She simply said no.
See?
And she said that it's because she's concerned that it'll stink up the refrigerator.
What?
Which doesn't make any sense to me.
I mean,
especially if it's properly in a container.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's been like once or twice, maybe over the years. We've been married almost 24 years. Once or twice that the refrigerators, you had to put some baking soda in there or clean it, or whatever.
Just once or twice, put some baking soda in there.
You know what I'm talking about? When people look at the Arm & Hammer in there.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah,
no,
just
we have it in ours.
Yeah,
just in case.
Yeah. So like once or twice in 24 years that happened. So I think she's stretching here. I think that is a grasp. She's trying to come up with some reason that she can continue to throw my leftovers away, all in what she calls a way of making sure that I don't eat spoiled food and keep me from getting sick, which I call BS on because I've never gotten sick off eating leftovers in my entire life. In 48 years, it's never happened. I can't imagine it's going to happen this week or next.
I will tell you, she acted like she deserved a medal for it.
For throwing my stuff away?
Like there was some sort of act of valor that she was protecting you from your own tummy.
As if she's like the man on my right or left when we're marching into war.
That's right. She's got your back.
Oh.
She's going to throw away your cold cuts that might be 4 or 5 days old.
With a freaking... Who needs enemies?
That's what she told me.
With friends like that.
And again, she never stopped walking.
Of course, yeah.
She just kept it moving. I was like, "Your husband wants this for Valentine's Day," and she's like, "Nope." And she said, "It'll stink up the fridge."
She doesn't care. She doesn't care. And look, I knew I was going to have to put up with this for the rest of my life. That's the one flaw that she has. She throws away my leftovers, and it angers me. It frustrates me. It does.
Well, why don't you cry about it?
Well, you know what? At some point, it's going to be you, me, and JoJo in a studio apartment.
Right.
It's going to be JoJo's first place. And
when we're both kicked out by our wives.
It's going to be like a sitcom. It's going to be called You, Me, and JoJo. It's going to be 3 dudes at the different points of their lives, you and me closer to each other, but then JoJo doing his thing, and we'll be all in a studio apartment together.
Yeah, and then
there'll be a fridge full of mold. Too.
Yes, that's right. It'll be gross and stinky.
Nobody throws out Tug's food.
Yeah,
he just gets sick every week.
And it's a medical trauma. No one saw that one coming.
The cheese is green. It's good. I've never gotten sick off of leftovers.
Okay, but if it's green, it's clear I'm not going to eat it. But I've eaten it, always eaten it before it's turned green. And it's not like I'm in favor of eating things that are green. That's like an extra.
Sure about that?
Yes.
I'm sure about that?
I'm positive. Yes, I'm positive. All right. We've learned about deception. And not the deception of my wife throwing things away that don't need to be thrown away. I'm talking about the deception from Politico. I'm talking about the deception from New York Times, because they were all being paid by the Biden administration to spread the news of Biden's successes and how great everything is, even though it wasn't. Reuters, same way, Los.
Yeah, Reuters, when we got into some of the information from USAID, there was $9 million that was given to Reuters. And, okay, so the information that is tied in with this is what'll kind of shake you a little bit. The information that was tied into it was for the deception of the public, basically. That's how it was designated, not by me, not by anybody who's covering the story. The expenditure, according to USAID, was for the mass deception of the public.
Just laid it out. It's like, goodness, the devil trying to take, to steal souls. Yep, that's what I'm doing.
It points out social engineering operations against American citizens for, quote, active social engineering defense and, quote, large-scale social deception.
Good Lord. They couldn't even hide what they're doing. It's in plain sight. And those Democrats and those bureaucrats standing in front of the Treasury, that's what they're defending.
$9.1 million to an organization to lie to you and influence you. I said it yesterday. I will reiterate it. I want you to understand that this is how it goes. You have the CIA that recognizes that there's more value in propaganda than there is in bullets. That they can mass alter a society's opinion of topics and how they feel about different scenarios, including leadership, if they spend money on propaganda. That's what they were doing. And they've been doing it around the world for the better part of 30 years. It's just in the since basically 2016, they turned this weapon on you. $9.1 million to Reuters for social engineering operations, including large-scale social deception.
Unbelievable, dude. I say unbelievable. It's completely believable. It's completely surprising that they're still... This is how wrong the Democrats are. This is how incredibly misguided that they are. They're standing in protest of that. They held a rally to support that. That's how wrong they are. And they can't see the forest for the trees. They can't see that the American people support what is happening. We want to know about the fraud, waste, and abuse. That way it doesn't continue.
And just to kind of give you a view of how this works and how big of a deal that is. So let's say, for instance, we were to take Atlanta radio, and whatever radio station you want to go to, the highest billing stations in this marketplace are going to be around $15 to $16 million. Imagine they were just given a $9 million check and told what to do and what to cover.
Because that's what Politico and Reuters and all of them
That's what they were doing. They do not generate enough money on their own. They were getting money and told, here's what you need to write. Here's how you need to cover this. And you might be, in the case of Politico, you might be a $5 million entity, maybe 10 million tops. But we're going to make sure that we hand you $5 million a year, $8 million a year, so that we can keep you solvent, so you can keep the propaganda going.
Knowing that was cut, do you think that had anything to do with the reason that they couldn't pay their employees on Tuesday?
How funny was that when you read about it? Whoa, suddenly our portal's not working and we don't have the money to pay you. Oh, I wonder why. Maybe because that money got cut off by the U.S. government.
May not be the case at all. I'm not saying it is, but it just is odd that it happened within a couple days of each other. Just unusual, that's all. When we continue on Extra 106.3, Donald Trump is using the tactics that are used by Kirby Smart at the University of Georgia. Next on the Morning Extra.
It's time for the Bortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3.
It's called the United States Agency for International Development, a very fancy name. It's in the crosshairs of Donald Trump. For some reason, Trump thinks that the money spent by this organization, which is your money, by the way, is asinine, absurd. Could he be right? Well, let's look at some of the expenditures. $1.5 million to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion in Serbia's workplaces and business communities. Another $700,000 for a DEI musical in Ireland. $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia. How about almost $1 million for some activist named Stephen Leonelli for his work on protecting the human rights of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and intersex individuals around the world. Leonelli worked on adding a third gender option to the 2021 national census in Bangladesh. I know that was on the wish list of every American taxpayer. And speaking of American taxpayers, where do you think this money comes from? Like the money for a transgender comic book in Peru comes from you. And Leonelli and the government hacks who seize this money from you and spend it on these programs think that it's more important for Peru to have a transgender comic book than it is for you to keep that money and spend it on the needs of your family. That's political thinking. More importantly, it's Democrat political thinking. Time for this all to come to an end. Neil Bortz, Extra 106.3.
For half a century, glyphosate has affordably and effectively protected Georgia farmers' crops from invasive weeds. Without it, the impact would be felt beyond the fields, hitting Americans where it hurts, our wallets. That's why the Modern Ag Alliance advocates for farmers continued access to essential crop protection tools so food prices don't rise even more. Get the facts at controlweedsnotfarming.com. Paid for by the Modern Ag Alliance in support of Georgia farmers.
Hey, it's a Kimmer. Okay, you're driving along. Suddenly you hear that horrible sound of metal and crunching. It's an accident. Even if it's a little minor fender bender, man, that could be a nightmare. First, obviously, take care of yourself. But before you make a deal with an insurance company or anybody else, call David Van Sant with Van Sant Law. You know why? Because he used to work for the insurance company, so he knows how to get the right settlement and right away. Van Sant Law. Don't forget, if you don't get paid, they don't get paid. Protecting your interests. Insurance is great, but it's complicated. 855-GA-INJURY or vansantlaw.com.
Are you tired of dealing with drafty, inefficient windows? Do you have certain rooms in the house that you can't keep cool in the summer or warm in the winter? Hi, I'm Dan Watkins with All Four Seasons Garage Entry Doors and Windows. It's time to upgrade these old windows. Replace them with double-pane, beautiful, energy-efficient windows. Your new windows will help you regulate a perfect temperature throughout your house. Start saving big money on your energy bills and improve the curb appeal of your home. Give us a call today at 770-517-7078.
WFOM and W292 EV Marietta, a Dickey broadcasting station. The 9 a.m. hour is presented by Southern Exteriors. Quality and precision you can rely on.
Prayer breakfast. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
Without faith in God, there would be no American story.
President Trump addressing members of Congress at the Capitol first.
We're very hurt by what COVID did to religion. It really hurt it badly. People couldn't go to church for a long period of time.
Well, the breakfast is about to start at the Hilton in Washington. This is the last day for federal workers to accept the president's offer to resign now and be paid through September.
We expect a surge of federal workers, according to the White House, to accept the buyout offer before the midnight deadline. As of yesterday, about 40,000 federal workers had accepted this program out of an approximate 2 million who could be eligible. It is, however, not quite yet the 5 to 10% that the White House estimated would take this deal and resign from their jobs, which, if they were to hit that goal, would save an estimated $100 billion annually.
Fox's Jackie Heinrich at the White House as Democrats keep protesting the Department of Government Efficiency's push to trim spending and cut back federal agencies. Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley says
Elon Musk wasn't elected or appointed by anyone, and the behavior and the actions that he is taking are unconstitutional and illegal.
Israel is working to get Palestinians to leave Gaza voluntarily as President Trump keeps pushing to have the U.S. take over Gaza and rebuild it, though that's being opposed throughout the Middle East. It is a wintry morning for about 100 million Americans under advisories, with sleet, snow, and ice from the Dakotas to Maine down to Washington, D.C. And on top of that, Fox Weather's Britta Merwin reports.
Tornado watch is now in effect for Kentucky, and we have a flash flood emergency in West Virginia. Charleston locked up in the middle of that. They have high water rescues and a closure on Interstate 64.
Driving is dicey in many areas. Air travel is affected. Nearly 500 flights are canceled, more than 1,000 delayed. America's listening to Fox News.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated in the best hearing aids of 2024 by USA Today, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, just $189.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 500,000 happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Police Sergeant Christopher David Fitzgerald of the Temple University Police Department sustained fatal gunshot wounds while attempting to arrest a robbery suspect. The Tunnel to Towers Foundation provided a mortgage-free home to his wife and their 5 children in honor of their forever hero. Christopher was a great father, husband, brother, and son who was so very missed. Heroes like Christopher protect and serve our communities and our nation. Show your support. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. That's T2T.org.
The news and talk I can trust. Extra 106.3.
I love this tweet from a guy named Sean Puri. You can find him at SHAANVP. I would pay stupid amounts of money to watch a Hard Knocks style documentary tracking the Doge team for the next 6 months. Amen to that. Dude, it would be so interesting to be a part, to be able to see what was happening. Almost like when CNN took us to Iraq during the first, Operation Desert Storm. in the 90s, like to have that access to see that, almost like the way that you get the access for NFL teams in Hard Knocks, it would be so fascinating. I know he said that, offhandedly. It was just a goof. I think he's right, though.
Have you ever seen the movie The Social Network?
I didn't. That was the one about Facebook, right?
It's a dramatized version of Facebook. And as they're growing, one of the things they do is they rent a house. And the people that they have that are doing the coding work, they basically put headphones on and they're just locked in on the computer. And when anybody tries to interfere with them, like hey, he's jacked in.
Yeah.
Like he's working.
Yeah.
I would like to think there's about 7 or 8 people 19 to 22 years old that Elon Musk walks in with a cup of coffee and he's just like, how we doing?
Yeah.
And they're all locked in.
Because probably don't even answer him.
Yeah. And they all have Asperger's. Every one of them. Their entire singular focus is on let's go find the money and let's go find the criminality and the silliness of what we have going on.
It's not partisan. It is just a job, a task that I take serious, and I'm going to accomplish my goal.
And I've happened to find 8 people that don't have emotions to start with.
Exactly. Because that's the hard thing, right? For most people is to take the emotion out of it. The people you hired, it's just natural. It's very natural for them.
They just go.
They don't deal with
what's
that.
the data? What's the numbers?
So what do the numbers tell me? That's what we're looking for. It's amazing.
Where are we looking for issues? And you did have the scenario, and we'll get into it this hour. Man, everything's on the line because even Elon Musk brought up, Medicare. There's another one too.
Yeah. Well, dude, this morning you're even seeing that Google Maps was getting money from the federal government. Like, why in the world? Google is one of the most valuable companies in the world. So why would they be getting money unless you go, oh, we're going to give it to Google Maps to get favorable search out of because when you search for something on Google, what do you always see? ABC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC. You have to go 2 or 3 pages deep to get to like a Fox News.
May I give you an alternative view?
Yeah, sure.
You give them the money so they give it back to you.
That too. Yeah. Could be any of that.
And political donations.
Or maybe it's both.
Yeah.
Because there's a reason that Google...
It's a trade-off.
Yeah, there's a reason Google doesn't put any conservative media or thought until page 4 or 5, 8, the eighth thing you see on the page.
I mean, if I give you $10 million, Tug, and I say you can keep $2 million, you got to send 8 back to me.
What a deal.
We've essentially laundered the money.
Yeah, no, that's right.
And we can all, and I think this is something that I saw on Twitter, and they had posted a couple of the images of this. So I know it to be true, but I haven't looked into it for myself, and I'll do that as we continue this entire process. Some of the addresses that are listed for places that are receiving money, most notably internationally, are like hole-in-the-wall shacks.
Reckon why?
You would not say, oh, that's a legitimate news organization, or oh, that's a legitimate company. Yes, they're doing this sort. It's a front.
Gosh, how filthy is this? How dirty and low down is this? And how much satisfaction are you getting out of it, knowing that the Democrats are melting down, the mainstream media that you don't pay attention to anymore are melting down, and everyday Americans are not? You have to be gratified. You have to be satisfied with your vote.
If I was to start a company, we'll call it El Pollo Diablo International.
El
Pollo Diablo International. And
The Devil Chicken International?
Have high-tech radar systems. That's what I'm portraying that I have. I put that on my website.
Got it.
So you're sending me $5 million a year to keep developing these high-tech radar systems. But I actually don't do anything like that at all. I just happen to send you the money back after I've gotten it as a political contribution. Now, I got to keep a portion of it. That was cool. Right. Thank you. And oh, by the way, when I'm not doing my high-tech radar systems, which I don't do, I'm really good at posting online about the Democrat Party being the most awesome thing in the world.
And if somebody were just
writing those news articles.
No, that's right. And if somebody were just reading across maybe a list of names of those companies, they would see, oh, well, that's a high-tech radar company. No big deal.
I'm sure they're doing something legitimate.
Yeah, because it looks that way.
But El Pollo Diablo kind of gives it away a little bit.
It does.
Like the Oracle of Atlanta.com, you're like, oh, this seems kind of a weird place to send some money. What is this guy doing? He's telling you the future about what's coming? It's It's got to be a little more legitimate.
Yeah. Well, we will see, because, I mean, wow, the things that we've already discovered in just a couple days is earth-shattering. It's reshaping of the entire federal government, which is exactly what I wanted to see. I want to see it shrink. I want to see it have a less authority. I want it to do nothing more than to defend the borders and leave people alone. That's what I want the federal government for. Do I think we'll ever get there? Probably a long shot, but Lord, I love trying.
Elon Musk jokes around about how we're living inside the Matrix. That there's a world behind the world, right? Now, I'm not saying that your life isn't real. I'm not saying that JoJo is plugged into some sort of weird device and he's actually asleep and he's just imagining his life. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that there's a world on top of this world. And for a lot of people, they spent quite a number of years reading news media and seeing what was going on in the world, and they thought, well, that company's just doing a good job, or that news media, they're just telling you the news. They're doing this out of benevolence and also trying to make a profit. What you didn't know is that your money was funding all of this, was creating this imaginary world where the left was on top all the time. And now that it's being stripped away, that's what they're panicking about. It's like you have basically shown them, here's the red pill. There's a lot of people that don't want to be red pilled.
Oh, sure.
And we're going to...
Aunt Peg's one of them.
If you're listening to this radio station, you already took the red pill.
That's right.
But there are going to be a lot of people that when you start bringing up that their entire worldview is a facade that was paid for with their tax dollars in order to influence them, that's going to be the moment where they're either going to accept it or they're going to strike back at you saying that you don't know what you're talking about.
What's the old Mark Twain quote, or at least it's attributed to him? It's easier to fool people than convince them that they've been fooled.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That's exactly what you just laid out.
It's easier to fool people.
God. And they're willing to continue to be misled. At least some of them. Aunt Peg, they're willing to be misled. They know the other side. They've heard it, but they reject it.
But this is going to be the great part of the golden age of America. When Donald Trump brought that up, some of it's empty words until you start fulfilling it with what's going on. And for me, the golden age of America is a truthful and honest, as much as you can be, government. That is what I believe is the golden age. We need to restore, and it's not just our side. It needs to be on the left as well. You need to restore the belief in government and the belief in our institutions. And I when we have the news and Donald Trump, basically sent out Anna Paulina Luna, the congresswoman, to say we're going to have more information coming out next week that's going to basically reveal more truth about the U.S. government. I don't know what she's going to get into, but I'm listening because Donald Trump picked a hot vessel to go ahead and tell me about it.
It's easy to get your attention.
But could you imagine, if you give me more truth, the more I trust?
No, of course. And I think that's what everybody wants to believe. It doesn't matter what you're dealing with, the federal government, your local government, state government, local, whatever. Or just a person that you're... Because I've run into this recently. A person that you're working with to do contract work at your home. You want to believe that they're being honest with you. And as I've documented at least a little bit, that's not what I got out of the contractor that I used recently. We had to fire him. We took a big hit. And it seems and it feels like what the government's been doing for a long time. I paid them. They didn't do the work. The federal government, I had to pay them in my taxes, and they didn't do the work they were telling me they were doing. Instead, they were doing things in direct opposition of what I believe and stand for.
Yeah. And that it hurt you. It hurt the trust. And it now made you a cynical of anyone you're dealing with when it comes to this stuff.
Let me tell you, we just ran into this morning with the new contractors, and they're wonderful folks. You know how you can't read emotion in text messages sometimes? Like there was a statement made that was an offhanded comment. It wasn't meant to be taken. And
we're here to steal your money. What?
It wasn't quite that bad.
What joke are you issuing here?
It wasn't quite that bad. It was something that was very innocent in the way that it was meant. But when my wife and I, because of the situation we just came out of, I physically walked to our office and I was like, "What the hell does that mean?" And she was like, "I don't know." And then the following text messages gave it a little context. We were like, "Oh." But
are we getting ripped off again?
Again? Surely to God it ain't happening again. Surely we can't. Lord, please don't let this happen again. This has been the worst trial, or one of the worst trials of our life. But because we've been snake bit, we're immediately on the defense. We don't trust anybody.
And we should be like that until the government
Until they give us reason.
There's reason to trust them again.
I don't know that we're ever going to get that kind of trust.
I wouldn't say blind loyalty. Because
I don't even want to have that with Donald Trump or Elon Musk.
No, neither do I. But I would like to believe that we have people that in earnest want to lead us in the direction that they believe is best for the country, rather than just the best for themselves. And right now I have a billionaire and also the richest man in the world. They don't need a dime of my money.
There's no reason for that. Now, what the left would say, because they can't argue that. They would say, well, he's trying to burrow himself in. That way he gets good government contracts.
He doesn't need them.
He doesn't need them. The government needs him.
The government is saying, we really can't do this whole NASA thing anymore. Will you do this for us?
So much so that we have 2 astronauts stranded in outer space for the last 8 months and can't get them home. Can you help?
They need him.
That's right.
This country is not saying, we just can't figure out how to build these golf courses. We need you, Donald Trump.
That's right.
No.
Lord.
These are, if you wanted to put together a clay mold of what you want leaders that don't need to enrich themselves. And while not perfect,
ever, nobody is.
These 2 people don't need the public dole to make themselves what they are.
Like every one of those bureaucrats that do.
They're the ones. As we had it was on Fox News, and it continues to be true, that they were trying to get as many as 10% of the federal workers to quit. That they would take the buyout or they would leave. Now, they're not at that level. You know why? Because a large amount of them actually need the job.
Yeah, because they don't have skills outside of the government dole.
Elon Musk and Donald Trump don't need the job.
That's why they're not taking a salary for it.
Vivek Ramaswamy doesn't need the job.
None of them.
They don't need the job. Those are the best people you want leading, the ones that don't need it. Now, yes, does power stroke your ego? Yes. But it's a lot easier to be much more truthful when I'm not having to, let me go beg for $100,000 when I'm not handcuffed, I'm in good shape.
It's interesting, too, because you brought up the Congresswoman saying that there's going to be a big announcement.
Anna Paulina Luna.
That there's a big announcement coming at the end of the day, or end of the week, rather.
I like when she does the suit thing.
Yeah,
it looks really good on her.
Oh, yes, but she's
a cool lady.
She is very cool. We'll leave it there because
or else we're going to talk about her for the next 40 minutes of the show.
That's exactly right.
Did you see her when she did the bathing suit thing? Oh my God.
Pivot. No, that's exactly right. But the whole point is
top 5.
Yes, sir. And let me tell you, for somebody in D.C. to make the top 5, that's difficult.
We're doing something here.
That's difficult. But they're using Kirby Smart strategies. And I thought when you pointed this out, it made so much sense to me because I know behind the scenes what Kirby does. And when you used it in the way that Donald Trump is doing, I was like, oh, brilliant.
Kirby Smart, and I know this to be true because I've spoken to the recruiting coordinators and the people that cover this stuff. Kirby Smart will have, let's say, 20 recruits, and he knows they're signing and he's got it all done. He starts letting them know when they announce so that, let's say, 5-star quarterback announces on Monday. Boom! Started off the week with a 5-star quarterback. On Wednesday, it's the 4-star running back out of Texas. Boom! Man, we're doing... And it just keeps going. It's a drip of... So it feels like Georgia stays in the news all the time based on their recruits. It's a recruiting method, but it's also a method of building the brand. Donald Trump, I wouldn't be surprised. I like how you said it, scripted plays. They probably had the first several months scripted out. They made it a point on National Women's Day. I'm going to put this executive order out so that men cannot participate in your sports any longer. Do you think that happened on accident?
No.
You think that was one of those, well, we just came up with it the day before? No, they have this all scripted. You're going to get something every single day that's going to make you say, wow, didn't see that one coming, but they did. And the fact that you don't get any leaks on any of this shows you how buttoned up they are.
It's because they've had 4 years. You've had 4 years to plan this. Donald Trump knew what he wanted to do when he got back, because the first time he wasn't able to. He was given a list of people, as Los talked about, and here's who you're going to pick. And they had no loyalty to him. They had no loyalty, more importantly, to the goals of Donald Trump for America. The people that he put together this time all have the same goal in mind. That's the difference. And that's why they're so effective. And there are no leaks. That's why when they're laying those breadcrumbs out like the Congresswoman did, that's why when they're laying it out, you're like, oh my gosh, there's something new. There's something new.
I'm going to be staring at the Twitter page of Anna Paulina Luna, more so than normal, waiting for what do you plan on breaking? Because again, she told it on the Benny Johnson show. We have something that's going to help restore. She said it's going to be big. She goes, but it's going to help restore the American trust in the government. Tell me it's aliens. Okay,
it's not
I joke, but what it's got to be. It has to be something where I go, whoa, because I'm going to get the Kennedy stuff here in just a few more weeks.
I expect what you're going to hear is a peace agreement, at least in principle, in Russia-Ukraine. I saw that, just a hint of that, in an article I read in the Wall Street Journal yesterday that said toward the end of the week, that's what you're going to get. So that's just me doing the math. I have no idea.
Is it wrong?
But it would add up.
Is it wrong for me, Tug, to have to weigh the interest in aliens versus peace in Ukraine?
Maybe a little bit.
Because I think
human life.
Fine, I'd rather have peace in Ukraine between the Ukrainians and the Russians.
It can be a close second.
But, I mean, we're talking like it's right on the heels.
That's right.
It's right on, like,
very close.
This is 100 meters, and it's like a hundredth of a second off.
It's a photo finish.
It's close.
Georgia sits right now, according to 247 Sports, number 2 recruiting class in America. So when you see Kirby Smart hit a Go Dogs, because he does that about every other day, that's what Los is talking about. Donald Trump's doing the exact same thing with Anna Paulina Luna at the end of this week. Fascinating to see it all come down, because never before that I can tell has the federal government or the executive of the federal government had a freaking plan, or at least one that they've been preparing for 4 years and do not deviate from. When we continue on Extra 106.3, 9 o'clock hours brought to you by Southern Exteriors, your home exterior solution since 1999. Windows, doors, they do roof, gutters, they do it all, anything on the exterior of your home. 12% 0% or 12 months 0% financing, or 10% off the entire job. The FBI's obsession with January 6th was more than you could have ever imagined. Next on Extra. The legend Neil Bortz is only on Extra 106.3. Hey, it's Tug, and here's what you missed from the Talkmaster.
As some people have called it, the end of an era. Biden is off to a memory care facility somewhere. Trump is moving into the White House. And the left, the progressives, will be going nuts. You brought this on yourself.
Catch Neil's commentary every day on Extra 106.3 or listen anytime on the Extra 106.3 app.
Do you get nervous when it rains? I mean, because, look, there's all kinds of reasons to do that. I mean, if you have to drive, and people around here just lose their mind when it rains. People just forget how to drive, it seems. Or is there something more about the rain that scares you? Like that little spot you have on the ceiling at home. It's just a little brown spot, meaning there's some water getting into your house somehow, some way. And you're like, oh my gosh, it's raining again. And I still haven't gotten anybody to inspect this, to figure out what's causing this or to fix it. Today's the day you should call Southern Exteriors, because it's going to be raining for a couple days, today and tomorrow at least. So don't let that spot get bigger. Don't let your biggest investment, your home, be destroyed by something that is preventable, something that is repairable, something that is fixable. Southern Exteriors can come do it. Whether it's just fix the spot or replace the roof, they can do either or. They can do anything on the exterior of your home. Windows, doors, shutters, gutters, they can do it all. Build your deck, screen in a deck, whatever. They can help you. Siding, did I mention siding? I don't think I mentioned siding. They can do that too. Fix it or replace it. And right now they're offering 12 months, 0% financing for the job that you do, or 10% off the job that you choose, no matter how big. All you got to do is call them. They've been servicing Atlanta since 1999. The number, 8779-SOUTHERN or southernexteriors.co. Don't mix up the website, southernexteriors.co.
Hi, I'm Jaron Solomon from Solomon Brothers Jewelers, here to remind you that Valentine's Day is coming quickly. Are you prepared? If you are looking for the perfect gift this year, come see us at Solomon Brothers Jewelers. We've got the perfect Valentine's Day gifts like beautiful diamond tennis bracelets or diamond stud earrings for 40% off. That's right, you can give the gift of timeless beauty and elegance with a pair of diamond stud earrings or a sparkling tennis bracelet for 40% off. And to make this year even more special, we are giving away a free gold rose with any purchase over $4.99. So say I love you this year with a gift that never goes out of style. Diamonds from Solomon Brothers Jewelers. Come see us at any of our 3 showrooms, find that perfect tennis bracelet or diamond stud earrings, and get a free gold rose with any purchase over $4.99. Solomon Brothers on Peachtree Road in Buckhead, Old Milton Parkway in Alpharetta, and Fisher Crossing Drive in Sharpsburg. Online at SolomonBrothers.com or on Instagram at Solomon Brothers.
Go beyond a baseball game with your Atlanta Braves and check out Truist Park's Ballpark Tour. See the ballpark like never before and explore the franchise's rich history with artifacts, exhibits, and more, led by tour guides who will take you to places behind the scenes that most fans never have seen before, including the press box, premium club spaces, and of course, step onto the field where your favorite Braves players battle it out during the season. And each tour comes with a complimentary player chain necklace. Fans will also have access to the Braves Clubhouse starting February 17th through March 22nd. And did you know Truist Park also offers the opportunity to host birthday parties? The birthday package includes a private tour of the ballpark, birthday invitation template, special gift for the birthday child, and goodie bags for all the kids. Upgrades like a visit from the Braves mascot blooper are also available. Visit Braves.com/tours to book a tour or a birthday party today.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Good morning. These are your headlines for Thursday, February 6th. The White House says it plans to cancel $8 million in subscriptions to Politico after this being discovered with the investigation into USAID. CNN is referring to this as a false right-wing conspiracy theory. When it comes to the airline industry, another little mark on it, as well as a Park Delta plane was hit on the tarmac while waiting to take off. A minor accident did occur between 2 planes. This coming out of Seattle, Washington. The incident came over at the Seattle-Tacoma International Airport. A spokesman for Delta Airlines ended up telling the local media that a Japanese airline was taxiing on the tarmac when it hit the Delta plane in the wing. A Georgia lawmaker is trying to give the University of Georgia, Georgia Tech, and everyone else a little bit of a competitive advantage, as they would like to make the colleges and universities not have to lose players to other states due to taxes. Alpharetta State Senator Brandon Beach is proposing an exemption to the NIL money from state income tax. With your headlines, this is Carlos Medina.
Tug and Los until 10. I'm not crazy about cold weather. I'm not crazy about anything cold for that matter. The most I want to drink cold is a beverage of some sort. That's about the only thing I like cold.
You and I share a nickname. It's Sissy Bear.
Well, when did you get yours?
Whenever you got yours.
Oh, okay.
We're together, we're both cold.
Yes, all the time. I mean, this morning, it was, when I left the house, it was like 58 degrees, and I put me on a little jacket. I was just like my grandmother used to do,
Sissy
she would
Bear.
never leave the house without a little jacket. What?
Sissy Bear.
I don't mind. Call me anything you like. I don't care.
I pull over in a jacket just in case, because sometimes you never know when this building is frozen.
That's right. And it's funny because when it got really, really cold, you started wearing the heavy coat.
Yes.
And you still, today, it's like
I just bring it.
I'm
just in
telling you.
case.
That's right. Who wants to be cold? Nobody wants to be cold. But we're willing to do it, willing to be cold, willing to do a polar plunge for the exceptional athletes of Special Olympics of Georgia. The 2025 Polar Plunge. You can donate until the 16th, so you got like 10 days left to do it. Go to specialolympicsga.org, make a donation on behalf of Xtra 106.3 and our sister station 680 The Fan. We raised $2,500 or more. Whole bunch of us are going to go down to Ackworth Beach on Altoona and do the Polar Plunge on the 22nd. And all the donations, all the proceeds go to Special Olympic Georgia and sponsoring the athletes that do such a good job. We had Ethan Hoge on the show, was it Friday, I guess?
Yeah, last Friday, right?
God, he was so awesome. just the things that he was talking about and how much fun it is. And I've seen it up close.
And that he'll do pretty much anything.
Dude, this kid's brave, man.
Like, oh, you want me on a mountain?
Done.
Skiing down it? No
Whatever.
problem. You want me to get on an equine?
No fear.
On.
No fear. Some of the things that I would absolutely not do, he would do. It's fascinating to see the bravery. It's so great to see the smiling faces. I've been to so many. I wore my Special Olympics Forsyth County pullover that I bought at the last event I went with my nephew Aaron when he was playing softball. I've watched him play basketball. I've seen him do so much, and then my sister Whitney was a Special Olympian and did so well. There is no greater joy than seeing the joy that you will see at a Special Olympics event. If you've not been, you should go. If not, take my word for it, but donate. It is SpecialOlympicsGA.org, and then you can click on the Polar Plunge link. That's how you do it. So the FBI was so almost obsessed with January 6th. And that came, obviously, from top down. I'm sure there was plenty of agents that are like, what are we doing? There's plenty of good agents in the FBI, but the leadership of the FBI, which was installed by Joe Biden, was obsessed with it. The Democrats were obsessed with it. Joe Biden was obsessed with it. So much so that they had 5,000 of the 13,000 agents in the FBI focused on January 6th, focused on tracking people down, focused on investigating, focused on knocking on doors, focused on intimidation, and threatening people to never question the federal government again.
Well, you did have the Gestapo that was doing something very similar during the World War II era. This was the left's Gestapo. You got, 40% of the agency that is focused strictly on January 6th, where you can run through these names and this information. There were so many people that were nonviolent offenders, and yet the federal government looked at it as an opportunity to intimidate and to make sure they wouldn't vote or partake in anything that they considered to be Republican-oriented politics.
Don't you ever say a word again. And if you vote Republican, you better keep it to yourself. If you get on social media, we're going to shut you down. We're using technology companies to do that. If you get out and protest, you're going to be tracked down and treated like a hardened criminal. Ones that they were allowing into the country had nothing on you.
But that is, now that we know the information, does it not speak to what the priorities of the previous administration were? When you take 40%
intimidation
of your biggest law enforcement agency that you have within the federal government and you say, sick 'em. Now, there was a police officer from South Georgia, and I was reading about his story. It's not that he did anything crazy. In fact, he was receiving misdemeanor charges for the area that he was actually escorted into. He was just hanging out. He never entered the Capitol, but he was in an area that they were like, well, this area is restricted. Not inside the Capitol, but still, here's what it was. And what he quickly found out was that the operation was to try and bankrupt him. That they told him, you can select from this list of attorneys because they're all authorized to work in D.C., and these attorneys are each going to cost you $100,000 and $10,000 per appearance in the courtroom to represent you.
Going to
police
drain
officer
you. Going to drain your assets.
That's what the goal was.
Which is what happens a lot of times with big companies that get sued by individuals. They know that and I've seen this play out. A friend of mine sued a former company that he worked for, and let me tell you, they took advantage of him. Because I was there too for a while, I knew what was happening. They drained everything out of his retirement accounts, and he was right the whole time, but it didn't matter because he couldn't afford to keep up, just like those January 6ers can't afford to keep up with the federal government has a limitless budget.
This will be the second time that we will reference Ice Cube this week for Big Bank Take Little Bank.
Yeah.
They can know they're in the wrong. They just know they'll outlast you.
That's exactly right.
I got a friend of mine, he brought this up when he had some business partners, and as he told me, he was like, listen, I was squeezed out of the deal. And legally, it shouldn't have ever happened. But you get to the point where the amount of money you spend in order to get yourself back in standing is not worth it. He's like, it just hits a point where you just cut your losses and move on.
You have to.
Their plan, in a lot of cases when it came to this, was use the FBI to formulate some cases, and then let's drain these people.
And they did.
That's what they did.
And they did it so well that they kept them in prison in many cases where they didn't have access to their lawyers, even if they had the money to pay them.
Yeah.
They did not have access to them. We learned about what was the merry-go-round called?
It's called diesel therapy.
Diesel therapy. And Bernard Carrick, he brought it up when I was doing the Back Your Blue show with Daniel Madelon of Second Chance Bail Bonds here that you can hear Saturday mornings on Extra. He's the one that told me I'd never heard of that before.
Oh, man, I'd heard about it.
He was like, they would put these January 6 defendants on a bus and move them so nobody knew where they were, and even if they found out, they would be gone before you got there.
And even though they're supposed to be able to contact their family or their representatives, they were not allowed to.
It's unbelievable.
So you have nearly 40% of the FBI whose job was round these people up and make sure that we heard them as much as possible, even if they only did misdemeanor charges.
That does not matter because the goal isn't about putting them in jail. I mean, we want to do that, and we're going to do that. But the goal is teach them this lesson.
Intimidate and re-educate.
That's right. Teach them the lesson that they will never cross that line again.
They'll never question their government. There is not a lot of difference between people that showed up at that Capitol saying something stinks about this election. How did this occur? Why did we see more votes for Joe Biden than anyone in the history of the presidency, including Barack Obama? 15 million more votes. Remember, Barack Obama, the transformative figure that even white America jumped on board with and said, I can assuage my guilt. I can get rid of racism by voting for Barack Obama. And yet Joe Biden got 15 million more votes. There's not a lot of difference in those people that showed up at that Capitol to protest and people that dumped tea in the Boston Harbor.
That's exactly right. And I love them for it. Were there some people that took it too far? Of course.
Sure.
Yes. If you broke the law, if you did something, breaking windows, assaulting police officers.
Then that's the reason why you spent 3 or 4 years in.
But even then, if you look at what a civilian that does that in Atlanta, Georgia, what punishment they get versus
6 months.
Yes. And then 3 or 4 years, the punishment ain't matching the crime.
But think about the egotistical nature of the federal government, that if you were to assault a police officer in the city of Atlanta, there's some minimums that are involved from state to state, but you could be looking from anywhere from like 6 months to 24 months, depending on the state in which you did this. Let's just say in Atlanta, you get the 12 months. Because you happen to assault the federal government, you got 4 years and it was actually indefinite.
Goodness.
You go after a police officer in the city of Atlanta and they slap you on the wrist in comparison to you happen to walk into the Capitol.
Yeah, you were parading.
Parading was the charge that they gave journalists that they didn't agree with how they wrote about January 6th. If you were in the Capitol and you were working as a journalist, if the federal government did not like what you wrote, because remember, they probably weren't getting money from USAID.
That's right, like Politico.
Just so you remember how that works. They would then hit you with parading charges and would make you appear in court in shackles.
Just to intimidate you, just to make sure that you never made that mistake again.
Nearly 40% of the FBI, that's what they were tasked with. That's incredible.
The next target on the USAID, since you brought that up, Medicare. Holy cow. Wait. Just wait till you see the waste, fraud, and abuse in some of the biggest agencies, some of the biggest categories in the U.S. You think USAID is bad with the millions and millions and millions of tax dollars that they wasted?
Millions.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That immediately took me to Walk Hard.
Oh.
Elvis Presley.
What is it? Dewey Cox story?
And millions and millions.
That's right.
Millions and millions of babies.
So good. But it's the truth. Millions and millions are wasted in this agency that takes up a very small amount of the federal budget, and the Democrats can't wait to point that out. If there's that much waste, fraud, and abuse in USAID, can you imagine?
I want to tell you about a man in North Carolina. This man has pled guilty. He is going to prison. What did this man do in North Carolina? He was part of a Medicare scam. Now, did he scam Medicare? No, he did not. But what he did was the company that scammed Medicare ended up having to pay him to here, I need you to clean this money. This man cleaned $3 million. That's what the federal government came up with.
And clean, by clean, you mean laundered.
Laundered.
Yeah.
This is what you're doing. You're going to take care of this. Do you know how much this company took off of Medicare? $100 million. All right, the dude got caught. $3 million on a $100 million health care fraud scheme. Court documents say that Chandri Sabir Ahmed worked with another person to make it seem like he owned two medical supply businesses, Dune Medical Supply in High Point, North Carolina, and Prospect Health Solutions in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. $100 million. And that's one story, one company that was able to take $100 million off of Medicare and fraud.
Imagine what is there to be found.
What is out there? We're talking about $9 million to Politico and $9 million to Reuters and, $40,000 to this and $1 million to, Iraq and Sesame Street. $100 million in Medicare. That is why Elon Musk, this was a small starter. It was like an hors d'oeuvre. It was like the salad before dinner. Medicare is going to be the dinner when you start working through all the fraud and abuse there is.
And we know, because of reporting from the Washington Post, of all places, that 10% of most federal budgets, no matter how big, 10% of it, they have reported that is wasted and fraudulent and abused. We already know 10% of it's there. The reporting has already told us that. Can you imagine what the real number is? Could it be 30? 40, 50%? How big could that number be? It's just for us to speculate now, but I bet we find out soon enough. Says the Morning Extra and Extra 106.3, 8 o'clock hour is brought to you by, 9 o'clock hour, is brought to you by Southern Exteriors. Your home exterior solution since 1999, based down in Jackson, Georgia. Big enough and good enough to cover the entire Southeast. They'll have a foreman on the ground while your job's being done, so you can inquire about anything that happens and have somebody to ask. Believe me, I recently went through something like this. Didn't have anybody to ask ever. This is so valuable. And if you've done projects before, like renovation projects, But right now you can choose for any of the exterior projects that they do. You can choose 10% off or 12 months, 0% financing at Southern Exteriors. SouthernExteriors.co, 8779 Southern. When we come back, do you know why the Dems are so pissed about USAID? Because you know what your money was being spent on. Next on the Morning Extra.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
After making no moves on the trade deadline, the Atlanta Hawks lost at home to the San Antonio Spurs 125-126. Trae Young had another 30-point game, going for 32 with 12 assists, but with 9 turnovers as well. Nyaka Okongwu also scored a double-double with 30 points and 12 boards. For the Spurs, Wembanyama scored 24 with 12 rebounds. And in his first game for San Antonio, De'Aaron Fox scored 24 and had 13 assists. The Hawks' record moves to 23-28. They play the Milwaukee Bucks next at home on Saturday. For Extra 106.3 Sports, I'm Joe Virgin.
I enjoy a good night's sleep, and I like to breathe while I'm sleeping. My wife appreciates that, too. That's why I wear a CPAP. You want the right machine. You want expert advice. You want all the supplies that go with it. You get it all at CPAPs, etc. in Alpharetta. Machines, masks, tubing, filters, cleaning supplies, all of it, and they ship nationwide. Walk-ins, by the way, are welcome. CPAPs, etc. Alpharetta, CPAPSETC.com.
Have you thought about securing your hard-earned assets? Do you have concerns about the future? Protecting assets is crucial, and that's where Nelson Elder Care Law excels. As a family-owned and family-focused firm, we provide absolute assurance and peace of mind through our trademarked Absolute Protection Trust, tailored services in estate planning, probate administration, Medicaid crisis solutions, guardianship, and conservatorship. Our goal is to exceed your expectations and empower informed decisions. Visit NelsonElderCareLaw.com for asset protection and peace of mind.
When disaster strikes, the food supply is the first domino to fall. It can start quietly, an emergency alert, a breaking news headline. But within hours, reality sets in. People rush to grocery stores, emptying shelves of everything from bread to canned goods. Lines stretch out the door, tempers flare, and desperation takes hold. And no matter who's in charge these days, you simply can't rely on the government to bail you out. That's why having an emergency food supply on hand is the right move for you and your family. Right now, you can get $50 off a 4-week emergency food kit at mypatriotsupply.com. They're an American company trusted by millions, offering 2,000 calories per day with essential vitamins and minerals to keep you strong during a crisis. This food will be there for you when you need it, since it lasts up to 25 years and can ship out to you next day. Go to mypatriotsupply.com now to get $50 off your 4-week emergency food kit. That's mypatriotsupply.com.
Amazon Business offers smart business buying solutions, so you can spend more time growing your business and less time doing the admin. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
True Prep, Atlanta's leading preparedness store, has 2 incredible deals going. The Smith & Wesson M&P 15 Sport 3 AR-15 for just $649, featuring a mid-length gas system, 15-inch M-LOK free-float handguard, and 30-round P-Mag. Choose a Smith & Wesson cap or 16-ounce tumbler free with purchase. Plus, get 1,000 rounds of check-made brass case Boxer Prime 223 ammo for only $399.99 or 20-round boxes for just $8.99 each. For directions, visit us online at trueprep.com. That's TRUprep.com. True Prep. Prepare today for a worry-free tomorrow.
Fox on Tech.
This weekend's Artificial Intelligence Summit in Paris will welcome a high-ranking U.S. official. Vice President J.D. Vance will attend this summit, scheduled for Saturday and Sunday in the French capital. It signals the Trump administration's seriousness in both understanding and regulating development of AI in a world where it can be used by nefarious actors. World and industry leaders are gathering to discuss not just the science behind artificial intelligence and their needs for resources in operating it, but also how to mitigate disruptions to labor forces, as AI could soon be doing tasks currently done by humans. French officials hosting the summit say the event will give a chance to countries other than the U.S. and China to voice concerns or ideas and perhaps pitch their own involvement in the AI economy. And while safety is a topic, the conference is not expected to craft regulations. With Fox on Tech, I'm Eben Brown, Fox News.
The Morning Extra has you covered until 10 a.m. Then it's Glenn Beck, Clay Travis, and Buck Sexton at noon, and The Kimmer Show taking over at 3, only on Extra 106.3.
Tug and Los until 10 on The Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. The memes are exceptional about USAID. You have the... What do you call this face or this head? You know what I'm talking about? It always shows up in memes. Like, what is that called?
That is just basically the generic. I don't know if there's an actual
face
name for it, but it's just the generic I accept any programming.
Yeah, I guess. This is Joey. What is that? Do you know what that person is? That anyway.
It's just a generic head. And normally what happens is they will always list out a news organization on them.
Yeah, that's right. And this one,
the masses.
Right. This one has Huffington Post, Vice, ABC, NBC, Politico, all the things that it seems the Biden administration was funding through USAID. And as we've discussed this morning, the only people that are yelling about USAID being shut down, I've not heard a foreign leader say, oh, no, we need that. I've not heard an American citizen, other than people in the government, or in the media saying, we need that, we need that. We've not seen any of that. The only people who are complaining are Democrats, the establishment, and media companies because they were getting paid.
I believe this is a work off of Wojak.
Wojak? I've never heard of Wojak.
Wojak is also known as Feels Guy.
Feels Guy, okay.
It's your internet meme, the original form, a simple black outline cartoon drawing of a bald man with a wistful expression. It grew out of 4chan, and then it just became, all right, this is the generic person who will accept anything they're told.
Right. Okay. And it's called Wojak?
Wojak.
I love it.
It's the NPC meme.
Yes.
NPC.
NPC is a character in a video game that you can't play. Non-playable character.
Non-playable character.
Got it. I got it. Okay, that makes sense.
Just they don't think for themselves. They have no They have no soul.
They have programmed reactions.
Okay,
and
all that makes sense.
Can't do anything else.
Wojak he's got all the there's a bunch of Wojak faces, and it's all the media that was getting money from the Biden administration, and they're above their head in the cartoon cloud. Closing USAID is bad for our profits. Don't close it. You don't see an American citizen saying it. The only people complaining, the establishment, the Democrats, and the media.
And Wojaks.
That's right.
There's so many people that have a hard time, and I get it. Like, thinking for yourself can be stressful, sometimes painful, but they wait for their marching orders. And the amount of people that I was reading on X, and that's the beauty of X. It's a free forum. You can get into whatever you want.
And liberals are coming back.
Of course, because Blue Sky is filled with a bunch of pedophilia.
Well, but this is the only place that they can get a reaction.
They stopped hanging out with people that are could identify as furries. They decided it's time to go back to X, where at least there's some sanity and there's some reaction. No surprise. But the amount of people that are waiting back and saying, tell me what I'm supposed to think about this stuff. And then they parrot it out there. They are the non-playable characters.
No doubt.
They are the NPCs. They don't actually have any kind of soul or information on their own. They think whatever they're told to think. That's the joke of that meme.
And they do. I want to play you something because as we're learning, the USAID waste, fraud, and abuse was much worse than we even thought. We knew it was going to be a bunch. We're just scratching the surface. There's a TikTok handle that is called Reed Choi, @ReedChoi. And he posted this, and it's him talking to himself, right? He's playing both roles in this.
Glasses on and glasses off.
That's right.
As he's speaking to himself about this stuff.
Doge's glasses off, and the government trying to explain themselves, glasses on. Listen to this.
Hi, welcome to the Department of Government Efficiency. We were looking over last year's budget and we found some anomalies that we wanted to address. Okay, if you're talking about the military budget, if you want a safe country, that's how much we didn't even start looking at that yet. Get ready for that. No, we were looking at this list here. We wanted to start with the National Pillow Fluffing Initiative. I mean, don't you want your pillow to be fluffy? Not when you're spending over $1 million of taxpayer money. We're cutting that. Also, the Bureau of Elevator Music Standards. Explain yourself. Forgive me for trying to set the vibe, bro. $800,000 a year. The National Velcro Noise Study. What's the problem here? You don't have to spend $1 million a year to know that Velcro noise is annoying. Now, the program of Ice Cube Uniformity and the American Cloud Watching Fund. Okay, that one's a problem, but I'm kind of OCD and I like it when my ice cubes are all the same size and shape, you know? Yeah, we all do, but that doesn't mean you spend $1 million. Now, the Federal Kazoo Orchestra Grant. It's amazing what they could do with those things, honestly. The Federal Bureau of Traffic Cone Counting, $256,343. You're welcome. Now, that's what I call $800,000 well spent.
This is just the silly nonsense that was being spent. And I'm not even sure any of that's true, like any of the things that they referenced.
It is.
But I expect that it is. And sure enough, Los has already confirmed it. So there you go.
You have the Office of Inflatable Pool Regulations that was spending $500,000 so you can regulate inflatable pools.
AKA laundering money. There's not a chance that anybody was doing that. Zero chance.
It really does point out how these people that were working in this office and were working as part of this group, they were sitting around coming up with ways in order to spend taxpayer money to justify their own existence.
Dude, the National Velcro Noise Study, somebody was taking money and sending it to... I mean, it sounds made up. It sounds like a skit. It sounds like comedy.
You had an initiative for pillow fluffing.
I mean, don't you want your pillow fluffy?
Don't you want your pillow fluffy?
But that's the thing,
$1.5 million spent.
This is just the tip of the iceberg. And that's why the left and the establishment and the media are melting down. They are losing control. They are losing power. And they're definitely losing money. And they are furious about it. The fascinating thing, and I'll say this again, I said it yesterday, not heard a word from Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, any of the people that actually lead or make the decisions in the Democrat Party, especially in the last 4 years, the people that were actually pulling the strings, not heard a word from any of them.
I believe it's because they know the party's over. Now, when I say it's that they have been able to enrich themselves in a way, like one of the things that comes up is Haiti. The amount of money that we spent on disaster relief in Haiti and how little of it actually got to the people and how much of it allegedly found its way into the Clinton Family Foundation. That it was orchestrated to where they were able to get rich off of Haitian grief and Haitian problems.
And suffering.
And that is what they were able to do. Again, allegedly. I think these people, the upper echelon of the Democrat Party, know that the party's over. And the only people that are complaining are the ones that are left on the boat.
Yeah, they're
sinking.
The street communists, as you call them.
The street communists
They're left
who
there
were like, wait a minute, all the higher end communists got out of here with a grip of money?
A grip of money.
And what do I got? I'm left holding on to the ship as it's turning over.
As the Titanic's going down and I'm looking at them, they're on the lifeboats.
Yes, I'm staring over at these people that are jumping on top of the lifeboats, and I'm going down with the ship here.
Yeah, with the dude that's playing the violin
right next to me.
Yeah, exactly. It's you and him.
The street communists are left holding the bag here.
And clutching their pearls going, no, there's no chance that the Obamas and the Clintons are on the lifeboats already. What? No.
They're long gone.
Dude, they got a motorboat out there.
They have sailed off. They are saying, take care now. Bye-bye.
Have a good day. You did exactly what we needed you to do, and we appreciate you. Thank you.
Yes. Have you ever seen, oh, no, he's never seen the end of Lord of the Rings.
I'm not. I read the books when I was 8th grade.
You know, when Frodo Baggins sails off, like I like to imagine that Barack Obama is sailing off into a land of unending wieners.
Oh,
you know, that's a heaven. Huh? It's like his place of happiness.
I thought it was Bilbo Baggins.
Well,
there's two. Bilbo goes with him as well.
Okay.
Right.
That's Bill or Hillary.
Okay. I like the fact that you've even assigned Democrats to be.
They go together.
That's right. They go. Yeah. There's not a chance they go together in real life.
Not with them two.
There's not a chance those two go together in real life. No. But like Barack and Michelle, not sure they go together either.
I'm headed to the land of Ween.
Yep.
Take care, Democrat Party. Bye-bye.
Adios, amigos.
I got my money.
Holy cow.
Getting horny now.
Oh.
That's right.
That's such an ugly word.
See more dudes drowning in my pond.
That'll do it for us. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting.
Don't read anything into it. They're just jokes, people.
Yes, it's okay. Yeah, don't have any meltdowns.
It's okay to laugh.
It is. Laughter is back in Trump's America. Laughter is allowed. For Los and Board Op Captain Goey Virgin River, my name is Tug. Y'all come back now, you hear?